Hello there, folks. I'm very excited tonight to be sitting around having a bit of a chat with somebody who I think is pretty cool. His name is Mika Tyyska. You may know him as Mr. Fastfinger. He is somebody I discovered online about 10 years ago and absolutely loved his little website that he had going where you could play the little animated cartoon character via your keyboard and cut heads with the piano accordion playing devil. So I'd like to welcome my friend Mika Tyyska. Hey Mika.
Hi Rick, how are
How
you?
are you, mate? You doing good?
Yeah, absolutely good.
Cool,
It's
mate.
midday here and there it's evening already, right?
It is. It's 7 p.m. There's nothing on TV. I don't even own a TV, so I don't even know how I know that, but I'm guessing there's nothing good on TV. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So, mate, I got to say, I was very excited when at 42 Gear Street it was announced that you were coming along. I know we had a little group chat prior to the event, and Henning announced Mr. Fastfinger is coming. I think I may have been the most excited out of the group to go, no way, that's this dude I've been watching online for a long time. I only knew you as a little cartoon character, so I wasn't too sure what you were like in person or anything. But
Yeah.
mate, tell us a little bit how this character, Mr. Fastfinger, tell us about Mr. Fastfinger and how it all came about.
Well, it was kind of it's a long story trying to put it short. I had my history with guitar and everything as a teenager, and I was really passionate about playing the guitar and really about the techniques and everything
Hmm.
and making music. But at some point around when I got 18 or 19, I kind of started feeling it's not. I didn't, have the trust that this would my life would be. I thought I wouldn't be able to do like a career in music, so I went to study multimedia and graphics and visual stuff, which also I have a great passion for. And when I studied there, I kind of came up with the idea of using cartoon character, kind of like taking the good old like instructional VHS guitar videos and turning that into a cartoon and using all the multimedia interfaces and things and putting that to internet. I kind of came up with the crazy idea, and I think it felt perfect because I was really into making animation, and I still had the history with technical guitar playing, and I didn't feel comfortable at being on front of camera also. So animating the character and creating this imaginary guy felt like a perfect thing for me. And yeah, it was like my final project for this design school in 2004, or 2005. I did this guitar shred the whole website thing. It was just like the whole character and everything came out of intuition, basically. He was just putting together all these different things that I always loved. It's kind of like a homage to all my guitar heroes of my youth, but also graphic side and visual side. I just put things that kind of felt fun and inspiring there.
Cool, cool. Well, I got to say, I actually have learnt a lot of really cool licks from your website, the old Mr. Fastfinger site, because you could actually print out all the licks that were assigned to each key on your keyboard.
Yeah.
And I did print that out once upon a time and went through it, and you had a lot of licks on there that I'd heard around the place, but I wasn't sure what was going on. I'd heard people like Steve Vai, Paul Gilbert, etc. do, and it was really good to actually hear those licks and then go, "Oh, where's the tab for that?" And oh, that's how you do it. So you actually indirectly taught me a little there, mate. So
That's
that's why,
so super cool.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
thought
I
it
was
was I
I was
thought it
very
was
excited
really
to.
fun because the site was kind of it was a mixed, it kind of like a half totally just entertainment. Anybody who never even played the guitar could get really excited about it. Like some really old ladies I got great feedback from, and some like really young girls, like 5-year-old girls would love to play with that character and on that site. And but also there was this guitar enthusiastic guitar players who would love to kind of learn those licks for real and print out the tablatures and work their asses off to try to, play those. It was super exciting to be able to kind of have these two levels, like the guitar players, but also anybody. So yeah, entertainment and education in the same package is
well, it definitely works.
Really powerful.
Most definitely works. Most definitely works. I'm not sure whether you've got YouTube open there and can see the chat room, but we've got a few friends of ours in there, mate. We've got Mo Draws. He's saying, hey. Gabor,
hey, Mo.
super fun. See, Gabor, I have to read it, man, or else I don't know what your bloody channel's called. The super fun, awesome, happy time pedal show.
Yeah.
Really, Gabor? You can
some good friends there.
You can change it. Who else is in there? My friend Big Fella Link, he's saying, great shirt, Mika. He loves your shirt. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It has a little bit of green, too.
Yes. So, this is something I wanted to ask you. And I was going to leave it down the track a little, but green. I noticed you always had the green guitars. Your character had the green guitar. Just looking at some of your stuff online, you have an obsession with the color green?
Well, that's one of the things that came with the character, really. It's funny thing, before Fastfinger, I never really had like a favorite colors or anything, but the kind of green color was originally Fastfinger's outfit. He has the bathrobe kind of kind of outfit that used to be green, and he had a yellow guitar. And then at some point, obviously he lives in this remote island, which was there's a lot of green stuff there because it's all outdoors. But then at some point I was figuring out, I was supposed to, one guy suggested that he would like to do a custom guitar for me. And the first thing was like, it has to be green, even though Fastfinger's guitar wasn't green, but the green was so powerful because he was kind of wearing the green outfit and everything.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the green became the thing. And it's also a great color because it kind of divides people, especially when you think about guitars. I was talking with Ruokangas Juha, the guy who builds my guitar and who I've done a lot of collaboration during the past years, and Juha has said something like they never build green guitars for stock sales because they usually sell the slowest. Green guitars are not popular. There are a certain little amount of people who love them, but the rest of the guys just hate it.
Is that right?
And yeah, it's like, I don't know if you have any green guitars there, but you might have all the other. I don't know if you have a green guitar, but
I don't.
At
no,
least
I don't.
Yeah, but obviously there are guys with green guitars, but it's a little bit more rare. People like blue is very popular color and so on. I don't know. I just love it. It looks, it has a lot of great. It symbolizes a lot of great things as well. So it's perfect for the character.
Well, you said that they don't sell so well. Everyone talks about red guitars go faster. So I guess the green ones they go slower. I'm getting a few comments, and I'm noticing the same thing. Your picture seems to be a little bit out of sync with me, Mika. I noticed a while back. Yeah.
Wait a second. The audio is out of sync, right?
Your video seems to be lagging a few seconds. It just started about.
Is it better now?
No.
It's worse.
Yeah, your camera seems to be a bit out of sync with your your video and your mic seems to be a little bit out of sync for some reason. That's okay.
Weird. Yeah.
I tell you what.
Because they go separate ways.
Yeah.
And that would be the reason. Because the technique which I have here kind of made me. I had to separate the audio and video coming to my laptop.
Yeah. So I'm being told
is it very far away?
It is rather out of sync. I'm being told that by people that it sounds really good, so they don't care. But I'm going to try something. Can you log out of Skype and log back into me, mate? And I'll just see if that fixes it.
Yeah, I'll shut
Yeah.
it and I'll call you back.
Yeah, and I will just talk to the guests in the meantime.
Yep. Cheers. Bye bye.
Bye bye. I just called you guys ghosts. Just going to talk to. So sorry about that, folks. I did notice that I've got a little window open there, and I noticed to get a little bit out of sync. I was just wondering whether you guys were seeing the same. I downgraded recently and went back to using the iMac. Where is he? Hello, hello, Mika.
Hello?
Yes, let me just see that, mate. If I do a little split screen again, I think that should be better. If not, we'll just run with that.
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
I can hear you and I can see you just fine, mate.
Is the sync any better?
It's back in sync. It's back in sync.
Okay, there's something happened with the maybe
Yeah,
Skype.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah. So I now know that if that happens, just to re-log back in. So Mika, what got you into playing guitar?
Who taught me to play the guitar?
What got you into playing guitar?
Oh, well, that's a good question. When I was maybe on 4th or 5th grade, probably 4th grade, my older brother got a electric guitar, this kind of like cheap Stratocaster copy, and it was kind of interesting to me, and I got kind of excited about it. And every time when he left the building, I secretly went to his room to figure out the guitar because obviously I wasn't allowed to do that.
Yep.
And those days I had a little keyboard which I could use to kind of compose little like silly little tunes.
Yeah.
And record those on tape. So I was already into music, and somehow the guitar just it seemed very attractive, and I got myself this acoustic guitar, and I kind of started feeling that I could, it could be my thing. I was really I sucked at sports and just about everything at school, and I liked drawing, but that's pretty much about it. But guitar felt like something that I could kind of do something with, and I even put together a band where I was just a singer, really crappy singer. But anyway, I put together a band of my schoolmates, my classmates, and I had 2 guitar players there, and while I was leading this band, I secretly practiced guitar playing all the time. And during the first rehearsals of this band, I actually saw how to tune the guitar into the notes of piano. So later that day, when I got home, I was able to tune the guitar. So that was the first crucial step to actually have the guitar in tune. And then that kind of I secretly learned to play the guitar, so it took like half a year, and then I could kind of like outplay the guitar players of my band and take over the duties of guitar playing after that. So it was kind of like a funny thing, funny time.
Awesome. And so I've always known Mr. Fastfinger to play Stratocaster style guitars, so super strats, I guess.
Yeah, super strats. Yeah.
Have you always been attracted to Stratocaster style guitars? Is that something that grew on you, or you've always been a Fender type of guy?
It's just the fact that I never felt attracted or at home with other types of guitars. It's I've never owned a guitar that wasn't a Strat or super Strat type of guitar, to be honest, which may sound very weird, but I never felt. Yeah, but I never got myself any other type of guitar, even though something like a Tele could be interesting, but I've always been kind of like the one guitar type of man. I never wanted to have many guitars where I'll play one part with this guitar, another part with another guitar. I always tried to find myself a guitar that would do everything for me, all whatever I would like to do with the guitar, I would like to do it with that one guitar. And so I would rather seek versatility in one guitar than try to find 5 or 6 different guitars to do all the duties that I need with the guitar. Yeah. So I think Strat is that sense. A Super Strat is kind of feels so perfect to me.
I absolutely relate. I've always been one for a Strat with a humbucker myself, and even gravitated towards just 3 single coils a little later in life as well. You know, that's a particular sound. It doesn't suit everything, but just something about Strat, isn't there? It fits your body. It just fits in when you hold it. And I was always a very skinny guy growing up, so Les Pauls, man, they just hurt me. They just cut into me, and it was like,
oh yeah.
Plus, at the time when I started playing guitar, Gibson were almost broke as well. They almost went broke, as they seem to be doing again lately. And it was Slash that came along and saved their ass. If it wasn't for Slash, they were on their way down. And they were play authentic.
Slash kind of brought that style back into fashion, for sure.
He did, playing a counterfeit. He was playing a counterfeit. It wasn't a real Gibson. So their whole play authentic thing, you know, I'm sure they're aware that one of their biggest endorsers wasn't playing authentic. So yeah, who were some of the earliest guitar players you got into?
Well, when I started playing the guitar, I started playing the guitar around, I would say, officially I started 89, I think. I really got into that. And for me, Steve Vai was definitely the biggest one. I think what attracted to me in Steve's playing was that it wasn't like, it sounded so different to anybody else's playing. It wasn't much blues based. It was kind of like from totally different world in that sense. Well, most of the guitar players the playing was so much based on the pentatonic and blues kind of licks and things, and Steve's playing was kind of like out of this planet or world, and had that certain charisma and thing. So I had already kind of like been listening to like the Dave Lee Roth Eat 'Em and Smile. I bought that cassette the day it kind of got released, and I was really into that music already, and so I kind of like had that in my ear a little bit before I even started playing the guitar for real. But in general, all those technical yet musical guys, Marty Friedman and Satriani for sure. I pretty quickly got into all that instrumental kind of playing thing when I was during the teenage years, anyway. So that was the whole kind of Eddie Van Halen school of playing the guitar, and Eddie, of course, huge inspiration. And then some point, like I kind of got really into Frank Zappa, and that his playing sounded like really crappy at first, but then I kind of got the idea after just kind of drowning myself to listening all these guitar albums where he would just play like 2 hours of just nothing but his guitar playing. I used to love listening to those guitar solo compilation albums, and all his music just really got me excited, and that kind of Frank's music kind of got me into more towards the composition instead of just practicing the guitar. At that point, I had been practicing so many years all these techniques and learning all the Paul Gilbert intense rock video licks and things, and when I found Frank Zappa, it kind of got me excited about composition. And then the kind of guitar practicing kind of got a little bit behind me, and I got into composition more, and that was probably really good for me. Yeah.
Gabor's telling us we should try Jazz Masters. No. No.
Jazz.
Fender Jazz Master. No, thanks, Gabor. I stick to the
No,
Strat or
yeah,
Strats. Yeah. So,
yeah, maybe
have
no.
you got your guitar?
Obviously, yeah. Sorry.
Have you got your guitar there? I can actually see it. I'm just going to answer my own question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is here. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So let's show the folks your guitar. And this is a, am I going to pronounce it right? Ruakangas.
Ruokangas.
What he said. What he said. So,
Ruokangas, and yeah, it's my second Ruokangas. The other one is over there. This is the first one I got is little darker green, so you
oh,
have to have
cool.
like a light source to get the green out. Otherwise it looks almost like almost black.
Yeah,
But it
right.
has a beautiful green there, and I think it's in drop D right now.
Now,
But this one is my second Rokangas, and it's I really feel so comfortable with this one. Just the whole thing, way it feels, resonates, sounds, and yeah, it's my guitar.
cool, cool. Now, you, me, and Semi Bowler, we had a great little chat, which I filmed over in Germany at 42 Gear Street. Very informal
Yeah,
one.
that was
We also had Dave Friedman feeding us beer and whiskey, and I think we were all a little bit loose by that stage. And
yes,
he
that was
did
a
show me
whiskey,
the guitar.
Polish whiskey there.
Yeah. Um, and now, one thing that struck me about your guitar, and I saw this when I went back through some of the footage, you've got two, they're not five ways. Are they five-way switches? Are they two five ways on there?
Well,
Yeah, tell us about that.
yeah, this is a five-way. This acts like in any basic five-way switch you usually have. You have a full humbucker. Here we have a combo of these, and then middle, then combo of these, and then humbucker. But the other one is actually it does two things or three things. This is the kind of like the humbucker mode. Then if I switch it here, it splits these humbuckers. So it's kind of brings me the kind of like Strat kind of mode.
Cool.
So it's obviously doesn't sound exactly like a Strat because there are humbuckers that are just like split coiled,
Yep.
but still. And then here there's a third mode, which I don't need to use that often, but it's out of phase. Phases out the middle pickup, so I get like a little funny sounds with these combinations here. So it's a three-way switch, but when I asked for such a switch, the guys scratched their heads a little bit at the Rokangas factory, and they kind of took it as a challenge how to do that, because there is no switch that could actually do this three-way thing. So I think they combined 2 or 3 different switches and modified those to make this switch happen like this. And what's cool about it is I may have the neck pickup here split it. Then if I want, I'm humbucking the bridge pickup like that. So it's really
Nice.
handy to use. And yeah, obviously when I'm doing a typical rock gig, whatever, I might not need to use this at all. This is more for like if I'm playing a part, recording like I might test out. When you split the coil, it kind of I'm not sure if it's that clear with this setting, but let's hear. It kind of gives you more brighter, less bottomy version of the combo of these two. Actually, quite a huge difference.
Cool.
So it's for like getting the exact right tone from the guitar to match the part that I'm working on, recording
Yep.
or whatever.
Yep. Now, another thing that really struck me about your guitar is your tremolo arm. Are you able to pull that out and bring that up to the camera? Does that come out easy?
Oh, the arm. Yeah. Oh, well, maybe it's.
Now that is a solid. Yeah, that looks really cool. You can see that there. So that there's none of that slipping out of your hand, is there? That's definitely there.
Yeah, it's handmade by a blacksmith, kind of like hammer and anvil kind of thing, on like fire and everything, and
Yeah, yeah.
and and the it's just like what's the like twisted like this in the end, and it gives a really first of all it weights way much more than a typical arm, and also it gives a great grip. So because there's a lot of weight, it kind of get it really easy
The
that
flutter.
warble sound come really easily.
Okay.
So even if it's here and if I play loud, you get a little bit of warble with
I can hear
really
that.
high hit
Yeah, yeah,
notes, and
yeah.
I like that
You
because
like
it
that?
kind of
That's actually
yeah, because it
something
kind of
that I.
creates character.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, there are times when you want that, but that's actually one of the peeves I have about a lot of floating bridges is if I am playing rhythm guitar hard and I hear that little flutter when I don't want it, that's something I
Yeah,
find very annoying. But as you say, there are times when you do want it, and it sounds like you've found the ticket. Big heavy tremolo arm.
yeah. Well, I haven't found a moment when I didn't want it. So, but my approach to the whole guitar playing is more. I think I'm in search for the kind of like my own personality through the instrument, kind of trying to find how to find how to make this playing become just like part of me naturally, kind of
Yeah,
that kind of thing. And whenever I find something that maybe some other not too many guys are already doing, I kind of feel that maybe this is interesting. It kind of motivates me to dig a little bit deeper because I don't know, finding a personality and kind of something that would be even just a little bit unique, that kind of pops out of the rest of the guys who's playing out there. It kind of I find it very inspirational and motivating,
cool.
kind of. But also the things that kind of just feel natural and kind of feel like yeah, this is me. I'm in searching for all those things on the
Yeah,
guitar. So it's not always about playing perfectly like things should be. It's more like finding your own brush to
sure,
get the
sure.
tones out. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I just noticed a couple of comments there. Big fella Link is saying the head the headstock is amazing. He really loves the headstock on your guitar. But he also
Yeah.
said he watched the movie today, and it's great to see the trem arm being made. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I watched the movie today as well, and this is something my girlfriend and I were talking about last night. Tremolo. It's not technically a tremolo, is it? It's a
No,
vibrato.
it's vibrato. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know, and it's something that
How the hell
best
did that happen?
memory about that. Sorry.
How did that happen? How did was it Leo Fender? Was it the whole with synchronized tremolo on the headstock of a Strat that got everyone
I'm not
calling it a
I'm
tremolo?
not exactly sure, but sometimes I meet at least some older guys who come to say that it's not tremolo, it's vibrato. It's
Oh,
like,
right, yeah, yeah.
and they explain why it is like that. It makes totally sense. Uh, yeah, tremolo and vibrato as effects, you know the difference. It's totally different thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know where the tremolo comes. Why the terms? Where did that term come out?
I
I
think
don't
it came
know.
from here, man. I think. Let's see if I change that. That I'm not sure if you're going to see on underneath the fender where it says, that's really small. I don't think it's going to get in focus. And it's all backwards.
I think I might see it from. I have to. Do I see it from the?
Yeah,
I can't.
you're seeing me on this camera up here. I've got another one down here, mate. And yeah, with synchronized tremolo is what it says underneath the
Oh
fender.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so
That's
I'm not
probably
sure whether that was a faux pas from Leo Fender. Yeah, Gabor is saying that Leo got tremolo and vibrato wrong. That is a monumental fuck up. That is a monumental fuck up that has carried.
But you know, I kind of like it because many times I intentionally try to remember to do some things wrong in that way to kind of just for the sake of it not making things perfect. And I kind of like that, having that tremolo there.
Yeah.
It kind of messing things up a little bit and making all the crowd wondering what's that, why. I think it's kind of important also to kind of somebody to kind of mix things up a little bit.
I've heard along the way that we can actually blame Leo Fender for the standby switch on most tube amps as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because apparently, and I'll probably get crucified by people who know electronics because I'm not going to pretend to know anything, and this is all hearsay from the internet. But apparently, you do not need a standby switch on a tube amp. There's a little Vox AC10 right behind me there. That doesn't have a standby, and it works fine. This is something that I've seen. I've seen the guys over in Tone talk about this with John Sir and Dave Friedman, etc. That I've heard that some companies have tried to drop the whole standby switch thing, and they got so many people calling them up asking, "Oh, how the hell did I turn my amp on and off then if I didn't have a standby switch?" That they just put it back on. But apparently, it's not needed. Have you heard that? Have you heard that?
No, I haven't heard that. That sounds kind of yeah, that's funny. But what I like about the what Hughes and Kettner does, it reads standby and play, so it doesn't confuse you in that way. You have play, well that means you can play. When you have put it on standby, then it's on standby. It makes sense. But yeah, the classic amp it's confusing. It's really confusing.
Yeah.
And I remember first time I had been playing for years already with the guitars, and the first time I was supposed to play with a tube amplifier, it was really confusing to have that other switch there.
Absolutely. Now you've been really busy lately because you actually have a new album that just came out a couple of days ago, isn't that right?
Yeah, actually 1 week ago, officially. Last Tuesday it came out. Yeah, 1 week.
Okay. Yeah. Man, there is a lot that goes into self-producing an album, isn't there? So this took me. I'm kind of lost. Depends how you count it, but like 2 or 3 years. And it's just. Especially when you want to do sessions with live drums and you have a bass player and you need to arrange sessions and you do these songs bit by bit, little pieces, and I'm really I'm always a little bit too much even after all the perfection of the composition, arrangement, the sounds and everything. I want it to be a real overall experience that is really enjoyable, and it's just a lot of work. And this time I especially paid so much attention to the mixing that was a long period of time where I just mainly was focusing on putting the mixes together, just making it sound as interesting and cool and stimulating for the brain as well. Did you mix this yourself?
Yeah, I mix it all myself here. Right here in my room, and I mainly what I do is when I start composing, the mixing basically starts right there.
Yep.
It's I mix, compose, arrange, and record everything kind of like in a huge large mess. It's there's no real phase for composing. Once composing is done, I arrange. When the arrangement is done, we record. Then we do the post-production mixing. It's not like that. It's sometimes we have had like the sessions with the bass and drums, and I realized that this composition is not. It sucks, and I will recompose the whole song except the bass and drums. I did that at least for 1 or 2 songs for this new album. I just realized that this song is not. It doesn't have the lifespan. I mean, I might compose a song. It sounds great for 1 week or 1 month, but then I realized later on it's not so special. Usually, when you work on these songs for 2 years, and if it still sounds good, you know that this song is actually really good. It's worth putting on an album. I really want it to be really want it to be like that, and it's not maybe that healthy approach of making albums, but I kind of don't want to, especially when I'm doing an album. I want it to be really like a solid thing.
Cool. So you've been mixing for a while then? Is that something that
yeah,
the whole time you've been playing, you sort of picked up the skills?
yeah. Well, already after I started playing the guitar, well, even before I started playing the guitar, I was always into recording sounds and things, whatever sounds on tape. And when we got the first bands together, and we had 4-tracker tape recorders and things, really crappy sound, but I was many times the guy who would need to somehow mix it together, and kind of started like that. And in those days also I could borrow a 4-tracker, so I would have that, and a drum machine. I could make music on my own, kind of like my own solo music, and it kind of started like that. And over the years I've recorded and produced bands recordings and demos and things, and also done a lot of my own music. And yeah, for when it comes to this Mr. Fastfinger music, it's very hard for me to trust or give it to anybody else, because I have like a really specific sound that I want it to be. I want it to sound a specific way, and the mixing is really artistic thing. I think it's almost or as important as the composition. It kind of like what happens during that time, the beginning and the end, what happens there. It kind of like instead of just putting drums, bass, and guitar there and that's it. It's more like a timeline where things happen and occur and make it. It's more like creating some kind of movie for your ears kind of thing that I like.
Absolutely. So you kind of nailed it before. I think the whole mixing and composing kind of go hand in hand. Like composition, arranging is a big part of getting a mix right. If the arrangement isn't right, if you've got certain instruments within a frequency range battling each other, it's really hard to fix that in a mix. That's an arrangement problem. And I think a big thing, I know if I'm mixing for other people, there'll be times I'll just leave something out. And they go, wow, that sounds amazing. I couldn't get that to sound like that. How did you get that part to sound so good? I said, you noticed that I just dropped something out because you couldn't get that to work before because this other thing you had going wasn't important, but it was getting in the way of that other thing. So, yeah. So
I absolutely I like that idea. And what I many times do is when I compose, I might have like many tracks of synthesizers and different guitars and things, and then eventually I realize, hopefully at least in the final mixing moment, that I can mute these things on and off, put them on and off at times, and so all these things don't need to be there right from the beginning to the end. Things can come in and come out. They can be on front. They can go back. otherwise they will battle from the same space, and that's not good, like you said. Exactly, it's arrangement
Absolutely.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mate, I'm just dropping a little message as you talk on the 42 Gear Street chat, just to let everyone know. Most of the people will be actually asleep, except for the Europeans.
Yeah.
But I just dropped them a little message. We'll just see if anybody is awake that might want to join us there. Um, Mika, can you give us 3 tips for mixing guitars? Because I've seen a couple of names in the chat that are friends of mine who like to do some home recording. What's 3 things that you've learned in getting a good guitar sound? Anything pop into mind?
Obviously it depends on the guitar part, but the EQ. Oh, well, first of all, of course, if you have when you record, I would start from the recording. When you record the guitar, I rather try to record the right guitar tone in the moment, because have the the amp miking and everything sound the way you want it to sound in the end. I'm not a big fan of reamping, because to me the way I play depends on how the amp sound, how all the gear makes it sound like. So if I'm thinking, well, I'll change the amps and everything afterwards, it kind of, that would make me feel very weird, and I will not know how it will behave in the end. But anyways, I think getting the tone that you want as closely the kind of tone that you would think that will suit for the song and the recording in the end, try to get that sound immediately. And so there's not much things to do afterwards. But the in the mixing process, I would say EQing is very crucial. And to get the guitar sound good, you have to make sure the other instruments support your guitar. So if you have a bass guitar with a lot of like treble frequencies and things, it might start like battling from the same space, kind of like the arrangement thing. And for the but if not, that's not the problem. I would say the basic guitar sound, I'm really picky about the EQ, and I use these kind of like I kind of take these 10-band waves EQs, and I seek for frequencies that kind of tend to resonate. Is that the right word?
Yep,
So
absolutely.
if there's something like kind of certain frequencies, I try to tame those down a little bit. And once you tame down, not totally cut those out. This is something that you have to kind of do and learn to do. Otherwise, you might, if you cut out all the frequencies that tend to sound like they resonate, what you end up having is totally dead, totally weird guitar sound. But if
Yep.
you do it with a little bit of take it easy and don't cut absolutely everything out, you might, what happens when you cut a little bit of those ringing, resonating frequencies is that your guitar suddenly starts to sound like really solid and clear. It kind of feels like you almost started playing more sharper and more solid once you
Yep.
got the frequencies that kind of mess with the whole thing. Once you get those tamed out a little, yeah, it sounds way much better. And there's one plugin that I really love. It's actually Finnish. They're not paying me. I don't know even the guy. I
Yep.
know this guy who does it. Have a lot of common friends, but there's a plugin called Soothe. I can't remember the name of the company, but this Soothe plugin does like it automatically searches for these resonating frequencies, and you can smoothly adjust kind of these kind of tame them automatically. It's great
Wow.
plugin for speak, vocals, snare drum.
Yeah.
With the guitar, it's absolutely wonderful. Acoustic guitar, absolutely wonderful. Like a miracle machine that kind of, if you put it all the way, you will get like almost like a white noise kind of kind of even paced out frequencies, it doesn't sound good at all. But if you just smoothly put a little bit of that, it kind of does dynamic kind of frequency controlling for you, and it's wonderful. It saves a lot of hours of doing everything manually. I might still do some frequencies manually, but the Soothe, it's a great plugin for that.
I have to check that out. But you nailed it on the head. Mixing is all about pulling out resonant frequencies. Something makes me think that you may have seen a recent mixing seminar by Bob Power, where he talks about removing resonant frequencies. Is that where you got that? Do you know the mixer Bob Power?
Who the guy? Who's the guy?
Bob Power. He's American.
Okay, I don't think I've seen that one. No.
Yeah,
but I would love to see that.
Yeah, he was at a MixCon recently, and he did a big thing, and his whole thing was, and man, he's an amazing mixer. His whole thing was finding what the resonant frequency of a particular instrument is, pulling that out, and then being able to turn that instrument up louder, and removing all the top end and low end that doesn't need to be there, which is standard stuff that a lot of people aren't aware of. But high pass and low pass filtering goes a long way. You know where I learned a lot of production, what pricked my ears up to production on guitars. Now you mentioned Eat 'em and Smile. For me, Skyscraper was the album that came out around about the time I was learning to play guitar, and I would sit there with headphones on, listening to Steve Vai's production on his guitar, and that's where I learned about double tracking, triple tracking sometimes, and just the different sounds amazing. And everything. Now, this leads me on to something, and I had Sammy on here a week or two ago. We had a good old chat, and I brought up the fact that when we went to have dinner one night, the night when your dinner came out really late.
Oh, yeah. That one.
Yeah, Sammy was across the table from me, and you were on the other side of me, and within about 10 minutes of each other, you both told me the story that you had guitar techs for Steve Vai. And,
funny thing.
And it was really funny because when you went to tell me, I'm thinking, man, you just told me this 10 minutes ago. And then I thought, no, hang on. That was Sammy. He was telling me about it, Sweetwater. And yours was,
I didn't hear that by Sammy before that.
So how did that come about? How did you tech for Steve Vai? Tell us about that experience.
Well, it was, I know the promoter guy who arranged the masterclass, and for some reason he asked me like very last minute, like 2-3 days before that masterclass, that if I would like to come do the guitar tech for Steve, and I was like, what? Why? No. It's like, it sounded like, I'm not a guitar tech except for myself, and I'm not that type of person. But I thought, well, what the heck, if this goes totally, if I mess it up totally, well, at least I'm not messing up my career, because I'm not planning a career on guitar teching. And also, this is kind of great opportunity to kind of interact with Steve as well. So it would be very interesting. Could be very interesting. Actually, I met Steve like 10 years ago during all those. I got thanks to his webmaster at those days, I got a free ticket to those kind of like meet and greet kind of things that he was holding. And that was very awkward. I didn't like the experience at all. I think Steve felt very distant. There were like 3 guys there, me plus 2 other guys and Steve in this meet and greet. So it wasn't like a huge mass event. It felt very awkward for me.
Okay.
And I didn't feel, the idea of the way I felt Steve, I kind of felt very weird after that. And then, but now when I met Steve and I was their guitar tech, he seemed like very different. He was like really like a nice human being suddenly, very different type of person that I met 10 years back, and it was a super cool moment. The funny thing was I was there setting his pedal board and amps and everything before he entered the venue, and there was things like he had a preamp, the what's the brand, Steve Vai's preamp, his signature model, and he wanted.
Is this old? Is this like the old Carvin or Synergy?
Yeah, it was the preamp version of Carbon. Yeah.
Yep.
And he had kind of had the instructions how to set it up, the radar, and it was instructed that I would take the preamp, put it next to the cabinets and the power amplifiers, and then have a remote controller foot switch for the preamp. But then there were like several foot switches that was delivered to the venue. None of them worked with this preamp, so I had to actually set the preamp right next to his other bass pedals, the pedal board, because he would still be able to use it as normally. It was just putting it in a different place than planned. And it was funny, he came here like, this is supposed to be there, saying that to me, like the preamp has to be there. Like, sorry, Steve, not today, because like I felt very, it was very nice moment to kind of like just being as professional as I could be, like just telling, sorry, Steve, today this is the solution because blah, blah, blah. And he would accept that as it is. And kind of also he had I think he had a lot of noise coming from the pickups. And I suggested him, I had like my noise suppressor pedal with me. And I just thought, well, would you like to try this one out? But he was, no, thank you. Afterwards, he was playing there, and are you still sure you don't want that noise suppressor? Because I thought I would really like to have it there. And no, it sucks my tone out, or something that he said. It was like, well, I kind of respect that. It's a personal kind of thing, but it was super cool to do that thing. And also I made sure that his guitars are, I didn't need to do much anything, but just made sure everything is set when he enters the station. And if there's any strings breaking, I would change the strings for him during the masterclass. And after the actual masterclass, everything went really well. I went knocking to his room, and I brought him some local honey, because I know he's a honey beekeeper kind of guy.
Oh, cool.
So I brought him a little bit of that, and actually told him all about this, all my history, the Fastfinger thing, and how we met 10 years before, and my experiences and everything. It was super cool. And also we talked about the influences, like well, actually what I told him was that during that meet and greet thing, he had his guitar there, and I played something for him there, and he had seen Mr. Fastfinger website, and he said something to me like, you nailed my guitar tone or my playing perfectly. And what I felt after that, like that kind of, was left inside my head for days and weeks and years. And what I felt like, that's not what I want to do. I don't want to nail Steve Vai's tone or sound perfectly.
Yeah.
I want to be me.
Yep.
And I just started sitting down and figuring out ways to, do something else. And that was a huge inspiration for me to really get out of this sound that I had gotten from Steve or other guitar players, and try to kind of find my own voice. Him this thing now when I did this guitar tech thing like 1 year ago, and we talked about all the influences, and he's like Frank Zappa, being his influence and things. And it was a really, really cool chat with him, maybe, I don't know, 15 minutes or something, 20 minutes. And it was one of the best days of my one of the best moments ever, like just like talking with Steve, like about those things. It was pretty amazing. So I'm really thankful that I was able to do that guitar tech thing. It kind of really gave me a lot of good spirit.
Cool.
Whole experience.
Now, when I first heard Mr. Fastfinger, I actually thought it was Steve Vai. I thought,
yeah,
whoever this is has totally nailed Steve Vai's licks and tone, etc. Just the way he gets around, just that. You said it earlier, man. He's just not like anybody else, is he? He's just this otherworldly. Yeah. I don't know what. What I wanted to ask you is, how did you learn all those little Steve Vai cliches that were in the original Mr. Fastfinger licks? Because there was a few things there that I learned that were very much Steve Vai licks that he plays quite a lot. How did you work those out? Did somebody show you those, or did you work them out yourself?
It was mostly worked out on my own. I don't think I learned too many songs. Probably the only song that I really learned from beginning to the end was Sisters, and also a couple of Dave Lee Roth songs from Eat 'Em and Smile. Probably I learned from beginning to the end. Then I was just, other than that, it was just learning solos and parts and riffs and blah blah blah. But during those days when I was really hungry for learning everything on guitar, not just Steve, but all the George Lynch solos or Marty Friedman solos, it was like early 90s. The tablature books and tablature material was really limited, at least in Finland. There wasn't so many books available, or at least I wouldn't have that much money to buy them all. So many times I would just need to, learn it from the records and figure out. I had like a Boss, this multi-effects thing, and then tape recordings, and I figured out a way to slow music down and kind of pitch it up back to the original pitch, and all these weird things to figure out fast licks and like all the crossroads licks. I just slow it down. I recorded from the VHS tape and then to a cassette, and then slow it down somehow and repeated all those. I can't remember there, but the kind of like similar things that he plays on the how does it go? Like Big Trouble. Feels very. I haven't warmed up at all, so it kind of it's scary to play.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Let's stop it here.
Yeah,
but you know that lick.
It gets like that, doesn't it? You need to actually warm up.
Yeah, it's kind of chilly here actually, so it's kind of yeah. That's more Yngwie kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's easy because it's on just one string. Yeah, but it was for me when I was 14, 15, I would just practice one lick easily for 1 hour. Just put the metronome clicking slow, and then just or whatever the Paul Gilbert. Kind of like doing that for 1 hour, and it felt very, very nice to me. I enjoyed that. Just always kind of try to find the moment where I could play with that tempo, and then raise it up a little bit faster, and then try to nail that, make it comfortable and relaxed, and raise it up a little bit faster and faster and faster. And it was kind of like, it is kind of like a meditation or something. It kind of feels, you don't have to think about it anymore. It's just like trying to play it. No worries in the world, just play there. click
Absolutely.
over and over again, loop
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. I think that was the start. I've had a bit of trouble in recent years with RSI and
Yeah,
tendonitis, and I think it was when I started sitting down trying to learn some old licks and just doing that repetitiveness. And when you get older, your body's not so good at that. Um,
yeah, I know.
I I did see a couple of questions in the chat room going by. We were talking about recording, and Gabor wanted to know: do you use pedals to get sounds, or do you use plugins for your delays, etc., and reverbs?
I use both. I have my pedal board here right on my feet, and usually it is actually a combo. For example, here today, I kind of simulate the kind of thing that I would do on if I would record in real life. So I might have like a have the DD 500 Boss here that I can control with my expression pedal, the volume and everything. But then I might still have another like a delay here in the mix that kind of this is all mono for my main guitar rig. So when I'm mixing with the Cubase, I have a stereo delay that kind of creates this ping pong kind of thing, left right, and also I might record if I want more ambient kind of sound. I might have it. This is all from the pedal board, but then I might just add like a stereo. Just like just add things on top of each other, and usually that sounds actually much better than trying to get things from one piece of delay or reverb. Just putting different brands of delays on top of each other and after each other. And what's cool about the Boss 500, DD 500, it has like two different delays already. So putting that and reverbs, two reverbs, and this actually had 3 delays.
Wow.
It's a lot together with kind of everything works on top of each other, and together it kind of creates I don't know, as long as you don't do too much delay on your mono recorded signal, you can always add a little bit more, I think.
I've actually gotten
Especially,
into using reverbs and delays and reverbs and multiple ones lately. And it was when I got the Moa Ocean Machine pedal.
oh yeah,
I I sold that recently. That was something I sold to help fund the Germany trip. But having 2 delays and a reverb built into that was really cool. And that's something I've been doing a lot, is actually feeding my delays into reverbs. Not so much just for guitars, but for anything, it works well on vocals and things like that, to have that nice ping pong delay, but then having those
yep.
feed a reverb as well. And it just adds this nice lushness that doesn't really come from a particular place, but just comes from all around. It's an interesting sound.
Yeah, and because there is no rules how you're supposed to use these. I used to record very dry, and I think the first 2 Mr. Fastfinger albums, maybe probably the EP as well after that. Actually, maybe the 3rd album as well. I mostly recorded dry, and I didn't use delay even when recording, like as monitoring delay or anything. What happens is if I improvise or play lead guitar and things, I usually overplay. I kind of fill in every hole. But if I have a delay and things, it kind of makes me relaxes me to have a little bit longer notes and have breaks between the notes, because the delay and reverb can kind of create that ambience. If you play all the notes all the time, there's no space for the effects to take place, as you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So it has affected my playing. Having the pedal board and these effects on, it kind of actually has helped my playing to become more spacey. And I think it's only a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. Man, we were talking about Steve Vai before, and I think actually he was probably the first guy that I really sat with headphones and listened to the way he used delays as well. I'm thinking maybe the solo in like Hot Dog and a Shake. There's a section in that where it sort of, he goes up high and then it sort of comes out of that and it comes in with a long delay over that. And it starts
the long feedback. Yeah,
and it starts harmonizing against itself the way Steve Vai would typically do.
Yeah, that's very it's a very dramatic solo. Yeah,
absolutely. And I actually read him say that there's that part of it where he's playing and it goes and it like starts back up again. Apparently, I don't know if you've read this story. It was in Guitar Player magazine. It must be true. He was recording it. Went through his head that Van Halen were playing down the road. He went, screw this, and he goes to see Van Halen. And he went, no, I'm going to finish the solo, and just kept going. And that's that split second of thought where it goes and kicks back in. Yeah. But also, speaking of Steve Vai, I was having a look around on YouTube the other night, and I saw a video of him playing with Paul Gilbert. And he seemed a little intimidated at first to be playing with Paul Gilbert, because Paul Gilbert's the kind of guy that's going to stand there, especially now as he's gotten older, and play blues licks to suck you in. But you know that motherfucker can at any moment just turn around and fucking take your head off with just the most shreddiest thing you've ever heard, played the most cleanless you've ever heard. And you've actually been thrown in the deep end and had to jam with Paul, haven't you?
Yeah. You saw the video?
I've seen the video.
That was scary. Yeah, that was scary.
Tell us a bit about it, Mika.
Yeah. Well, what can I tell? I met the same promoter guy arranged that as well, and so I knew that them like before I agreed to do that jamming thing a long time before that event, and then that day when the day arrived, I was scared. I spent the whole day just working plus playing at home just to kind of warm up. That obviously I had no idea. He keeps changing the jam tracks. You never know what he wants to jam on, what kind of chord progressions, what's it going to be like. So there was no way to kind of know that, okay, it's going to be blues or blues progression 12 bar or something. I kind of tried to prepare for it, but at the same time I knew there's no way to prepare for that. But then I went to Helsinki and I met not Steve but Paul there shortly before that, and he said like, well, there was going to be two jams, and there's this, the other jam is going to be AC/DC, I think Highway to Hell or some other song from AC/DC, and then or this other song with these chords and that goes like blah 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 this, and I never had heard the song that he described as the other one, but I felt that if I would do the AC/DC, that would be kind of boring and not inspiring for me. It kind of it's more riff based kind of thing. The other one sounded like it's going to be a harmony kind of, some kind of chords that could inspire. So I picked that one out, and then that was it for the preparation. He started his clinic, and then at some point he called me in, and I went there, and I never had touched the amplifier. It sounded absolutely horrible to my taste. And I had one pedal that didn't rescue the thing at all. I had like overdrive pedal, and then it just went there, and it was kind of scary, but I kind of somehow survived that. The funny thing was that all the Paul Gilbert-ish licks that I had learned or anything, there was no way I could play any of those in that moment. It was like everything of that part of my playing would be canceled out, like out of phase kind of effect when things just get sucked out. So I couldn't play any Paul Gilbert kind of thing, no way. So I had to trust on other things. But what I was very, very proud of myself in that moment was that I decided. And one thing that the kind of typical mistake is it was going to be like this phrasing kind of thing. Paul plays, I don't know, 4/8 bars, then I play the 4/8 bars, kind of like this trading thing. So one thing that I decided that when Paul is playing, I'm not going to start planning what I'm going to play next. Instead, I decided that I'm going to listen to the very last note before I start playing, and then I just start playing. So I kind of had that setting in my head, not to rush anywhere, because it's always going to end up sounding unmusical. So and I was able to do that with Paul there, and I felt very proud of myself because of that. Even though I haven't been able to watch that jam myself completely afterwards, I don't want to do that. I've seen maybe half the way, and that's enough for me. It's just too hard. But I was brave enough just to put it out there public so people could watch that, kind of expose myself there.
Yeah.
But I also, by the way, I did jam with Steve during the sound check. There's no
really?
video of that. So
Cool.
I had that experience with Steve as well, and that was super cool. What happened there was, at some point, I would play something, and then Steve would pick from there, and he would actually try to play what I just played,
Yeah.
or maybe not quite able to do it, and kind of like, so it with Steve it was more interactive. I think Paul was kind of playing I don't know, different ways. I don't know how to say, but Steve was more listening and more in kind of like following also my playing, way much more interactive. So it was very cool and inspiring, and felt very good about that jam as well. Even though the jam track was just like some jungle drums, and I'm like, oh, what are you supposed to play on top of such a backing track? But anyway, it was still very very interesting, cool to jam with Steve. Like no audience, just a couple of guys, some friends who were there, and so on. But that was I felt incredibly at home there. I was stunned how much it felt, like how natural it kind of felt that moment.
Yeah. Cool. We just got a couple of comments there. One was when I picked up my guitar before. Mo said, "Rick versus Mika, go," and I said no. Now, also, Gabor is asking, do the effects ever inspire you as a songwriter, or are they more an afterthought to add some ambience to the playing? What's your take on that?
They do affect. I think the tone in general and instruments affect, and I like that kind of thing. I think sometimes you just find a certain delay or something, and it kind of makes you play in different way. But it's especially when improvising, having those effects on it, kind of, like I said, it relaxes me. And then there's like the if you have some special effects and things, like put on a chorus flanger or something, it might make resonate something in yourself. And the freak out pedal that I showed you before we started the whole this stream is like having the I don't think I would really play like that without that effect, or actually for some reason I didn't have much of these delays on. If I now play with the delay, have way much more wet sound. Let's hear that.
Okay. That sounds amazing, man. That sounds absolutely amazing.
You have this with the DD500. I have this on ES5, which is the MIDI controller. I have this button that is programmed to put on a hold on the other delay that I have here. It's like two different delays happening, and kind of keeps looping on and off. Then I use the expression pedal to set the volume for that kind of that sound that I create, that loops there. So I can put it kind of fade in and out that.
Yeah.
It's kind of super inspirational and interesting. It's kind of a little bit just confusing. I'm not always sure when it's on and when it's not. Now it's not. Now it's on. Let's put it on. So I can put it out and take it back.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
So what have you got on the floor there? What pedals have you got in front of you?
Well, it goes. The first one is that freak out, so I can do that.
So just for people who don't know, the freak out is it incites feedback in your guitar, doesn't it? It makes your guitar.
Yeah,
feedback.
it creates the kind of feedback kind of effects. You can set like different harmonic octaves or for the.
Wow.
It's kind of cool like that.
Yeah.
Sounds
is
like.
Is that you change the setting, or does it do that? Does it cycle through the different?
No. I just went through the different settings. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
But normally you can't do that without having the other hand there. But that's a cool idea. So I might do that from now on in some recording or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of. What's the Steven Spielberg film with the UFOs coming out?
Oh, Close Encounters. Yeah.
It had a little bit of that sound.
Yeah.
Without because with this you can also create the kind of like recorder flute kind of thing, which we all love a great deal. We all love this. Sorry about that.
Wow, that sounds cool. That sounds cool.
It doesn't. Yeah, you can do some unwanted noises with this as well. But anyway, freak out this first one because I kind of find it it's great to be able to do even for live. And there are several songs on my new album, and where it's part of the game. It's part of the whole thing that when I create something like the kind of sounds.
Wow.
And
so
then, well,
are you using a whammy pedal as well? Or is that just the freak out pedal?
that's just the freak out. No whammy.
Wow,
I don't
okay.
have a whammy.
Yeah,
Anyway, freak out goes to my freak out goes to my ES5, which is the effects controlling system switching. It's a looper. You can have different loops for different pedals, and in one first loop I have Forest Green Compressor by Mad Professor. Great compressor. Well,
which one was that? Sorry, which compressor?
It's called Forest Green Compressor.
Okay, I don't know that one.
It's by Mad Professor. Yeah, the company.
Yep.
Good quality, very musical compressor. Anyways, and that's I have it always on with my clean, so it got without this little bit of treble boost and kind of like a side mixed. Like blends in a little bit of compressed signal to my typical dry. So this is my the dry signal. Then I just can mix in the more compressed, more louder signal there. Kind of like taking a little bit of my overly compressed playing style and putting it a little under more control. That's the meaning of that pedal. And a little bit more juice. And then on loop number 2, there's a Tube Screamer Mini. And then I have a tuner here. Then...
what's your choice of tuner?
I have a Sonic Research turbo tuner. I need a small one, so this is the mini version, very small, so it kind of fits my pedal board because it's so... I can show you the pedal board. Why not?
Yeah.
Some heavy lifting, but I don't know.
Oh, nice.
So so this is the freak out.
Yep.
This is the Forest Green.
Okay.
In loop 1 of this. Second loop is Tube Screamer.
Yep.
And then there's the tuner, of course. And loop number 3 is actually, it first goes to my Fuzz Free.
What is that?
Noise suppressor. That's a noise suppressor from Boss. I just call it Fuzz Free because it looks cooler that way. Then from this loop, this signal goes to a Lehel split. I don't know how to pronounce that. Lehel. And that goes to the signal goes to my preamp of Hughes and Kettner Deluxe 40.
Yep.
And from there, the effect loop sends the signal to my Boss DD 500.
Yep.
And then the signal goes back to the looper. And in loop number 5, the last loop, I have a dyne. Oh, wait a second. There's loop number 4, which has Miku for the this pedal is mainly here for the spirit, and it kind of keeps the whole pedal board together. Without this, probably the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop you there. Is that crazy Korg pedal that just does that weird noise? You've got one.
I have one. It's here, and we have a song called Miku, which it's also a live number, so it has to be there. Otherwise, we can't play that song.
Oh, dude, you have to play that. You have to play that pedal for our viewers, because if they don't know what that sounds like, it is the most useless pedal in the world.
No, it is useful. And
it does one thing.
Well, it does many things, many different words you can pronounce. And then there's, in the same loop, after this, there's actually a dual chorus, which is an old Ibanez pedal. I have a crush for this series of Ibanez pedals.
Oh, yeah.
This was my very first one, actually was originally my brother's.
Okay.
The very first pedal. This was probably both in '88 or something for my big brother originally.
Yeah.
And this is from the same, almost the same era. This is actually a little bit older, and it does chorus and flanger. It has like a two. It has one heart but two controls kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then so I never need to use these together. So I just use this or this.
Okay.
You know, but it's. And then last loop is dynamic. No, dynamic. The reverb for Boss RV6, I think.
Okay.
And the other things are just, this is like anytime I want, I can put the chorus loop on, the loop 4, unless the Miku is on, that's trouble then. But usually this is always typically on. Okay. So I can anytime, with any preset I have here, I can just put the chorus or flanger on. And this puts the looper here on. So I can have a looper with my DD500.
Okay.
So I have rec, play, and stop here, and on and off. And expression does many things depending on the preset here. And then there's like this button with this certain preset, I can do that. Like pedal, create that infinite reverb loop kind of thing.
Cool.
So it has many functions. It's all MIDI. The ES5 is super great for, you can program just about anything with it. So it's a great unit, not just for looping, but controlling the amp, but also controlling other MIDI devices.
Oh, cool. Okay.
But so, you wanted to hear the...
Yeah. Please, what, I forget what it's called. Was it Miku? It's a weird pedal. While you're setting that up, I'm just going to share the story that when I was just starting to play guitar, you said that the Ibanez pedals belong to your brother. I have a friend when I was learning to play guitar who had an older brother who had all the guitar gear. He was in the army, so he's away a lot of the time. We'd sneak into his brother's room and he had all those Ibanez pedals. And cool. I remember playing with some of those, and they were really cool. All right, go for it, mate.
Let's. That's basically Miku. It has a really cool riff. But what's cool about Miku pedal is when you kind of sing through it for a while, is when you listen to that voice, it has its certain sound, but when you hear a guitar sound after that, it sounds extremely good. I mean, it has that effect every time we play. I was basically playing that Miku song, the melodies from that song, the verses, and every time you get to the real guitar tone after that, it sounds so it's just like a release.
Yeah.
So,
Gabor's saying that he's got one on his pedal board as well. And somebody
Oh,
that's my friend Gene, saying it's Bebot for guitars. Do you know what Bebot is? I'm just having a look at my phone to see if I have it.
yeah, the Bebot app, right? The little robot app.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
totally, totally. So it is very much like Bebot. Um,
yeah, kind of. Yeah, it has a little bit of that the tonal quality for sure.
it does,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Classic. So, Mika, you're a Hughes and Kettner kind of guy?
yeah. I've been
I did
playing
see
with
your
these.
Hughes and Kettner
I've
right
been
beside
working
you there.
with Hughes and Kettner since 2006 or something. I've been really with this company for a long time.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice, nice. I just got my first Hughes and Kettner recently. It's right behind me there.
yeah. Black Spirit 200 head,
I have a
right?
black
Yeah.
spirit. You know, it's all backwards trying to do this. That actually that fit in my suitcase after 42 Gear Street. Did I just say that? I did. Yes, I did. But no, Richard very graciously let me take one of those. Um,
Perfect.
I'm probably going to use it this weekend. I've got a couple of gigs doing some fill-ins with two different groups, and I think I'm just going to take that and just try running it direct. I'm going to try using the red box out. Um,
Yeah,
see how it goes. Yeah, yeah. I do
yeah,
like the ease of programmability with a MIDI foot controller.
yeah.
The red box out. Yeah, I'm keen to give it a try this weekend.
Yeah, well, like if you've seen any of my videos that I did with this or the floorboard, the new floorboard version of this amplifier, which is basically the same sound, just a different format for the amp. The
Okay.
floorboard, the version, the first clean channel is super versatile and you can do so much with just that clean channel. And if you haven't seen any of the demos or anything, just explore the what's the word for that sagging. That sagging knob is the key element for it. It does a lot for the sound. I
Yeah.
mean, you can get that clean channel sound like it's like a really loud rocking amplifier. It's not a clean channel anymore.
Yeah. Right.
It's
Okay. Yeah. When Richard
it,
took me through the amp, that was the thing that I remember being really stoked about was the sagging, um, which
yeah.
yeah, just sounds like a tube amp, valve amp, um, really pushing and getting that sound where it's
Yeah, it gives you that kind of really exploding kind of amplifier sound and feeling to your you can feel it in your playing for sure. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
totally,
Wonderful
totally.
amp.
So,
Yeah.
so with the new album just coming out, have you got some touring ahead of you? Are you going to be playing some shows in support? What's the plan?
No, not really. Well, we just had a like a record release gig in just local gig, but the problem is there's no such audience there. It's very hard to go anywhere and find your audience. This is very small audience kind of music, and it would be very expensive to get outside of Finland. We're kind of isolated too.
Yeah,
But if this somehow starts picking up, hopefully things start to happen. It becomes more possible. But right now, I don't really see that possible. What we are kind of planning to do is I hope to do it within the next month or something. Is just do like a stream live gig with a band where we would do like a full set or some kind of set just for the YouTube, like a real live stream kind of thing. That would
yeah,
be
right.
super
Yeah,
cool. I
yeah,
would love to do that.
yeah. And that is very doable now. It's a big thing. Um, yeah, be able to stream shows.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is. It is, and we could almost do it every week because with the way we have kind of set up our system, we have like in ear monitoring thing, and we have like our own ear mix and everything. So with our mixer and the whole setup, we every time we rehearse at band rehearsals, we have drums mic'd and everything. It's like uh, it's not a huge step to do it a little bit more open and have the audience step right in. And but I would maybe like to do this little bit higher quality than just like a rehearsal capturing kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, yeah, my place here is really a really good setup. I've toyed with the idea of doing some live stream gigs and stuff out of here.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'd be
Sure.
really, really cool. Um, Now, at 42 Gear Street, you saw the guitar battle that I hosted between Sammy and Tom Quayle, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't seen the video, but I saw what I saw there in the room. Yeah.
Okay, we really wanted you in on it as well. I wanted I was going to say I wanted a three-way between the three of you. That sounds a bit kinky. Um, but
But
unfortunately,
it
we only
is.
had the two guys were playing through one amp through an AB
Yep.
box. Was the way that it's such a last minute thing that we could get that happening. If there was a way to get a third line in there, man, I really wanted to get you in on there as well. Um, just some varying styles. I think everybody would have had different things they could have brought to it.
Well,
That was a
next
lot of
time.
fun.
Well, yeah, yeah. I don't know. They probably would have kicked the hell out of me, but yeah, it was it got pretty wild there with
It
with
did.
those
It
guys.
did.
I mean,
And I was chatting to Tom Quayle just before it happened, and I had a go of his guitar in the funny tuning, and I actually filmed up close just his picking hand. He does that whole hybrid thing of holding a
yeah,
pick and using fingers, and it's weird, man. It's like watching a little spider or something, but it's just when you're beside him and you're hearing not the amp sound, but the actual percussiveness of his fingers hitting the guitar, how
yeah, yeah.
accurate his legato is. It's like, holy crap, holy crap. It's a lot of
Yeah,
notes.
it's very scary seeing that when he starts going up to the speed that it's so for him it seems so effortless and natural and easy and brrr, everything just
Absolutely.
flies.
Now, mate, the other day, don't mind that. I just hit the wrong button. I did try and hit that button to get me, and I just hit the wrong one. Um, we were chatting via Messenger the other day, and I was on my way to actually go see Pliny, the guitar player Pliny.
Yep.
I've been saying his name wrong. I was saying Pliny, but I heard him say Pliny a couple of times. Um, and he was fantastic. I actually Googled to find out what his real name is today, and apparently that's his real name. I didn't know that. I thought it was a stage
Oh, it
name.
is. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Now, man, that was amazing. Nick Johnston was one of the opening acts. Oh, dude, you probably know there was a European guy, a young fella that was on before them. Trying to think of his name. Jacob. I think it was a Jacob. Can't think of it
Oh,
as.
yeah. I can't remember the last name, but I think I know who you mean.
You know the guy I'm
Yeah,
talking about? Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Another
yeah. It was a
incredible
great show. But
surprise.
what struck me is just like in this day and age where I don't know many kids that play guitar anymore. It's sort of DJ culture sort of came along and really changed things. But yet there are these amazing young guitar players out there. Um,
Yeah.
uh, is it a YouTube thing? Do you think these guys are finding stuff on YouTube and learning, or are they disciples of the Fastfinger? Was it the Fastfinger? Did they catch your site and learn some cool tricks? Who's some
I don't
who's
know.
some young, who's the new guard of players that you really like, right?
Sorry, who?
What's the new players that you really like? New guitar players that are around.
I'm
Anybody
the
new?
worst guy when you start asking like that.
Okay.
Uh, oh, it's hard
Okay,
for me to
I'll bring
come
up a
up.
couple of guys
Yeah,
that I've come across lately. Do you remember Thomas Mclaughlin?
yeah, yeah. He's a
Remember him
great
from
guy.
the ads?
He's
Have
a
you seen
great
him
player.
playing in recent years?
Yeah, yeah. He has a very cool musical stuff happening now. Yeah,
Oh, absolutely. It was quite a novelty when he was a kid, trying to dress up like Steve Vai and all that, and sort of being taken under Vai's wing. Dropped off the
yeah,
face of the earth for a good 20 years, 30 years, and then he's just
yeah.
had
True. And
a
now he
time.
came
And
back. Yeah,
yeah, and I met him at NAM, and he was just a really nice English chap. It's funny. Some of these English guys, they're just really nice, even if they're pissed off. Just the way they talk, it's so polite. Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So yeah. Thomas, Doug Rappaport. Have you come across Doug Rappaport online? Have you heard of him?
I don't think. Yeah, I know the name, but I can't call. It's hard for me to connect.
Sure. So he's I first come across him doing some Friedman demos in the early days of the Friedman amps. He's the guitarist in the Edgar Winter group, and
Oh,
yeah, man, he's got
yeah.
some fire. He's got the chops, but the soul. You know, it's very hard to find guys that have got those both. Yeah. Any other new guitar players you can think of that you've come across lately?
Well, honestly, I don't follow that much all these guitar players. I see those guys on all the time on Facebook and everywhere, but it's still like I don't know. I don't listen to that much the guitar music, to be honest, which is kind of I feel almost guilty.
Okay, I'm kind
Uh,
of the same. What do you listen to? What do you listen to?
well, well, for the last 2 3 years, if you listen to my new album, you will hear that I've been listening to a lot of like film score music,
Okay,
especially from the 80s and what I've been listening to a lot is kind of like anti-shreddy or fast guitar kind of music that kind of calms me down. Many times when I listen to music, it's like uh, I want to have an effect that it kind of calms me down, especially if it's in the middle of the day. Um, so like this summer, I found this one Japanese composer who composed music in the 80s and 90s as well. But my best stuff is from the mid 80s. It's like these, you could call it sort of ambient, but it's more like environmental music that has it's kind of the kind of music that feels like at the same time it's not going nowhere, and at the same time it kind of feels like you dive into somebody else's world inside somebody else's like being. It's
okay,
kind of like incredibly simple music, like electronic music, but he has a lot of like nature sounds mixed in. But it's
yeah,
not like the typical new age kind of thing. It's a little bit different.
yeah, yeah.
But that kind of thing, I can't remember the name of the composer. But if somebody's interested, I can type it to the comments or something
Okay,
afterwards. But
yeah,
if I just found his music is kind of like really hard to find anywhere, but there's some YouTube channel that has put out some of his music, the albums out. So that's where I heard that music,
okay,
basically.
cool. So I was just having a look before around your little studio setup there, and if I flick this, I can see a bit more in there. I'm assuming there's more that I can't see. Um, so do you do like commercial recording for other people? Like, is that something that you found yourself doing? Hey, yeah, I'll produce an album for you, or um,
I've
is
done
that
that at some point of my life more, and not that much lately. I think there other guys think that I would only do like instrumental shreddy guitar music or something, but I've done a little bit of that in the past, but not that much lately. But and also done some like short film and documentary music scoring kind of thing
cool?
as well, and but mostly this is being used for well, music production, but also all the uh, instructional music and whatever project that I do. I did some like composing for some couple of game projects, and it's still quite close to the style of music that I create with Fastfinger, anyway. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's very kind of like it's a small room, but I try to keep things very simple. So I kind of keep the things that I really need, which is the amplifier, then the cabinet simulation. I have one proper preamp for the mic and an EQ, a cassette tape recorder, of course, forehead thing, which I used a lot on the new album. Actually, I all the synth sounds were recycled through cassettes.
Really?
for the sound. So I use this kind of like to give a little bit of extra character and vibe to the sound. I have
Yeah.
all these different tapes that I just use for processing, like somewhere like really worn out AD TDK cassettes, and
Wow.
this is actually from my childhood. This chromidioxide bass cassette. This was always a part of my childhood, and then there are like better quality like SAX TDK.
Yeah.
But I kind of set this so this is hooked to my Cubase, so I can in real time play a track of synth or whatever guitar. Many guitar tracks were processed with this as well. So I play a
Wow.
track and I record it right back to my computer, because this
Yeah.
is the 3-head thing, so I can monitor live. While it's recording, I can monitor the tape sound immediately. It just comes with a little bit of delay because of the record head, then the tape goes to the play head, and that's the point where I get to listen. So I just compensate the latency with my Cubase, and I can listen to things real time and use all these like bias knobs or how
Wow.
much I want to drive it, like
Yeah.
compress it or overdrive it. And
Wow.
it's
That is
it's
so
not
cool,
like,
man.
sorry.
So, that is so cool. So you're saying that you've got different tapes there, depending on
Yeah,
different
just
for different sounds. Like you know that this tape has a
yeah.
certain quality and that one has.
Yeah,
Wow.
for example, if you listen to the album and this the intro to Mystery, this the track number 3, if you listen to that with your headphones, you hear all these like this low rumble and these sounds. You will hear all these dropouts, like really this cassette has had really nice dropouts in the beginning of the tape. So I've used the
Wow.
very beginning of the tape to get all that kind of thing. And but the synth and also guitars and some percussions really love this treatment that they when they get processed on tape.
Yep.
And I just love the cassette sound. It's just like a special character.
Yeah. 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 Well, you know, the first album that I ever produced for anybody was for a local group called Thonk, which are a really cool jazz fusion kind of group, 3-piece. Um, and I get a lot of compliments on that about the drum sound and stuff, and I had no idea what I was doing. That's the only album I've ever recorded to tape, and all I knew was, oh, there's my, whoop, my camera just went flat. That's okay. I can fix this by going split screen. Bear with me, mate. There we go. We're back.
I can see you all the time.
You,
Yeah.
you can see me. Yeah. So I'm back to this camera, the one that I originally had. My battery just ran out. My other camera.
Oh, okay. I see. I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's why I've got the backup. I've just go to my one on my computer, so I'm back to looking like a '90s film clip. Yeah, recording to tape. Recording to tape was an amazing thing. It just smoothed things out. All I knew was to hit the tape hard with drums, and that would give me a little bit of the good kind of compression that I was after. So that is genius, man. I don't know of anybody doing that, running a tape deck.
Let me show you something.
Okay.
This is the real deal. One of the songs on the new album. Actually, it's on the part 2 that you don't hear except on the CD. Or
Yeah.
but this is like the 8-track tape cassette recorder. So I can record 8 tracks on this. And there's one song on part 2. Actually, the first song on part 2 of Mountain Tone that was recorded with this, all the guitars and everything. But I was what I did was I just programmed a MIDI synth backing track, and I just recorded on 2 tracks on here, and then I had like 6 tracks for the guitars,
Yep.
and I recorded those, and then I transferred all the 8 tracks separately to Cubase, and realized that there's a lot of trouble because the speed goes up and down. So I created like this manual click track, so the bass and drums could be recorded to that. And We had drums and bass come in, and other stuff. But the guitars are from the cassette that was recorded here. And on one, I also have like a 4-tracker there somewhere, Yamaha also, that we recorded the drums for one song. It's on part 1. It's their Ocean of Neon, the last track on the album now, which is on Spotify, the track number 8. We tracked the drums on 3 tracks on 4-tracker, and the 4th track was just like a mono mix of the backing track. So
Yeah,
I
right.
would. So that was drums on tape. That was I just had gotten the 4-track tape recorder, and I got so excited I wanted to record some drums with that. I think I did a lot of mistakes. It was like the sound wasn't. What I've learned about recording on tape is the more ready your sound is, the better it's going to be. If you want, if you have a sound that needs a lot of, like EQing things afterwards, you're in trouble. So that drum recording that we did on tape, afterwards I did like crazy bunch of, had all sort of beat crush effects on snare and all so much plugins that you can imagine. But it sounds, I wanted to have like a drum sound that it would sound like an electronic drum kit, not like analog. But it is like a real wooden drum kit, but it has a really kind of interesting feel to it, because that was kind of a special song that I wanted to sound different than the other songs, and that was kind of like exploration kind of experiment with the drum tracking there. But a lot of acoustic guitars, probably all the acoustic guitars on the album were recycled through tape. Many guitar tracks as well. I really like what the tape does to the cassette tape does to the guitar track. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. Well, man, yeah, I'm gonna have to try that, because I have recorded to tape in the past and know that the pleasing effect it has, but I've never thought about using a cassette tape to try and pull that off.
3-head cassette deck is a beautiful thing because you can monitor it real time. If you have to record and play it afterwards, to record it back to your Cubase or whatever, if you want to do it like that, you face up with a lot of trouble, because there's a wow and flutter that tape runs. The speed goes up and down all the time. It's a mechanic thing, and you will find that within few bars, your tracks will be totally out of sync.
Yeah, right.
But when you have it like this, you have a proper cassette deck, 3-head deck, you record and play back the same time. There's very little of wow and flutter, and you won't go out of sync. It goes a little bit on and off, but it's kind of very close to it all the time. So you kind of, if you want that wow and flutter kind of thing, then this is not the right thing. But this is great for processing, getting that certain kind of compression or saturation or something for the character, for the sonic, the sound.
Yeah. So didn't a lot of guys back in the 70s actually use tape machines to drive their amps a bit harder? Just the whole booster thing. Wasn't there guys that were actually using tape recorders, like reel-to-reels, to actually boost the front? Do you know anything about that? Have you heard of that?
Yeah, well,
I'm talking about the reel-to-reel.
Sure, but I know that people use that as a delay, like Richie Blackmore always had his reel-to-reel tape recorded on stage for the delay thing. But
I thought I heard that somehow they used it to hit the front of their amps a bit harder as well, just to push it like a clean boost would.
Yeah, well,
maybe I've heard wrong. Maybe I've heard
possible, but I would imagine it creating some latencies or delay with your signal if you have a separate record and play head, which I think you need to have if you want to monitor the tape sound. Maybe they use, or were they just using the preamp or the kind of thing of the tape?
I think just the preamp somehow.
Yeah, so they probably didn't use the actual tape sound. It was just the going through the inputs and outputs. I don't know.
Maybe somebody out there can Google for us. I'm pretty sure that the MXR micro FET or one of those pedals, one of those preamp pedals, is based on a preamp out of an old tape machine.
Oh,
If someone's there listening in, they can Google that. I don't know, that just popped into my head for some reason. Maybe a whole bunch of shit just popped into my head. Maybe some long recalled fact just came in. So now Mika, I've had to revert back to my iCam, my iMac camera because I ran out of battery there. But your vision looks insanely good. What camera are you using there?
This is just like a Canon. What's it called? It's Allegria. I don't know. They sell it in US and Europe with different names. I'm not sure what it would be called in Australia or wherever people are. It's called Legria. It's very old. I bought this in like 2013, I think, or 12.
Yeah, right. Okay.
For years I wasn't using it because I have a better camera, but it's a still camera, so it works for 20 minutes and then it shuts itself out.
Yeah.
And this one, as it's a real video camera, it runs for as long as I like. So
Nice.
it's really good for streaming or Skyping or wherever I need a solid video that actually stays there without me going back there pressing buttons every now and then. But I think it's the picture in general. I think it's more about the light than the camera. The lighting is more crucial. Yeah.
Absolutely. So mate, what plans have you got for Mr. Fastfinger? Hello, what was that? I just looked away for a second.
But just showing, that's the light, one of the lights.
Oh, okay. I looked away for a second and then I looked up and there was a completely different shot. I was like, whoa, what happened?
Plans for Mr. Fastfinger.
Yeah. So is this something that you got plans for the actual character to do anything else? Is it just something that whenever inspiration strikes, you'll take it wherever it goes, or what do you got planned?
Yeah, well, at this moment, I'm personally this album thing is kind of taking a lot of my focus right now. But personally, I'm really I want to start putting more content to YouTube, more instructional content, and obviously content to promote the new album. So there will be playthrough videos and stuff of the songs and but with the character itself, I have no big plans for the character itself. But he's kind of always there behind me in one way or another. It's like kind of like the spirit behind or something. The character itself, if I want to make it become alive, it's always a lot of work. You saw the movie, animating that. It's kind of like a years of work to get the animation running. So it's not. So if I start working on an animated stuff with the character, it means that I have to be kind of like shut things off and go to my corner and work there for ages and then come back with something. So it's not something that I want to do right now. Right now I've done that with an album 2-3 years. It has taken so much focus. So right now I just want to come out of the box a little bit and come to the screens and do some more public thing and interact with people. Hopefully that's what I want to do in now.
Cool.
The next thing. Yeah.
So I imagine it does take a long time to animate all these little things that you've done. Like, what is the process in doing something like that? I have no idea, man. I'm just a dumb guitar player, and I feel funny calling myself a guitar player in front of you.
Why would you do that? Why would you feel like that? Well, the animating thing, it's a strange thing. Well, there are several techniques you can animate things, and you can animate in so many different levels. But in the end, it's just still images that you somehow try to make move in a way that it feels like the character is actually there. It's actually thinking and working and being and interacting in when he's, you know, try to make things alive. Just it's the same thing like when you play a note. That's a still image, but how do you get it? How do you get that one note? Sing.
Yeah.
I think well, obviously, just you can animate by drawing one picture, then you draw another picture where the hand is different in a different position or whatever. Like this is one picture, this is another picture, this is another picture, but I don't know. It's to cut it short. How to animate or how to make these things
Yeah.
happen.
So
There's so many different techniques. Sometimes you just have a still image and then you set points that you kind of move, kind of like puppet.
Okay.
It's not that far away from like moving a puppet in a way.
Okay.
You can move a puppet like this or this, and the same thing like with notes. You might, you know, if you play a note and then next you want to hear this note, it's like the most natural way. How do you make it sound like the way you want it to sound like? What's the kind of feel you want to have there? The same thing, how you walk or how you turn your head, or is it like a robotic kind of thing? Like the kind of things how you animate are exactly the same how you animate your notes on fretboard to make it sound meaningful and musical and natural and kind of support the kind of thing you want to tell.
Sure.
Bring
So
forward.
it almost sounds to me a bit like music in the way that there's probably a lot of different tools available to achieve the same thing, but you need to know in your head what it is that you want to achieve before you get in there.
Yeah,
Move like
yeah, it's the same thing. When you can give the guitar player or musician, if you have a musician who's a real musician, you can give him any instrument, as long as he can get some kind of sound out of there. He can make it sound musical, and he can make it sound like music pretty quickly usually.
Yeah.
But because he has the music inside, he has the ability to kind of transform something that is actually inside the musician, somehow transform and kind of breathe it out through the instrument. The same thing is, I think, the animating is not about. Sometimes I'm guilty of this when there's no time or money, or if there's no inspiration, or you're just in a rush. But animating is not about moving body parts or things. It's the same thing like in music. It's about the rhythm and the how things breathe, and it's all about the timing and the movement. Is it like one place, another place? It's, you know, it's the same thing with exactly like in music. So I think they're very both are time-based art. There's a beginning, there's an end. Music and visual arts are, yeah, it's there's so many things that totally link together. One thing that I kind of found interesting when I was back in the art school in 2000, I never really took like music lessons. As a kid, I obviously read a lot of guitar magazines and read a lot of books and watched all these instructional videos, blah blah blah. But I learned a lot about music during the visual arts class in the design school.
Okay.
Everything the teacher talked about, shapes and shadows and lights and contrasts and all these things, I would always think through music. I was always kind of, yeah, that kind of makes sense also
Sure,
in music.
sure.
Like how does this thing apply in music? And every time I would kind of really be inspired of the things that he would share us with in the visual arts world, and I would always see it in music.
Yeah.
And that was super inspiring. Then when I started doing the animating thing, I kind of realized it's really about the motion, kind of like trying to figure out how to make the movements look like they are natural in that situation, or how they kind of support the characters.
Okay. Now, Mika, when you moved your camera before, mate, you've messed up my split shot. Have you got room to move a little to your left? That's better.
Yes.
Now I can go.
Yeah.
Now I can go split screen. We can see both of us again.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this?
Now I was going to ask you when we were in Germany, we had a great little chat, you, me, and Sammy, about just approach to the fretboard. I've been asking a lot of people lately about how they approach the fretboard. Do you mind sharing with people how you view the fretboard when you're getting around? Because everybody's different.
Yeah. Well,
what's your navigation?
I kind of see it like a three-way thing, three different approaches. I think three. The first one is my number one thing that I really like is the kind of first way I learned to play the guitar is the horizontal way. Before I learned to tune the guitar, I could still play melodies on one string because the one string is, well, at least relatively in tune. So one of the most important ways for a guitar player, especially if you want to connect with the music you create in your head or heart, is the one way playing thing. This was basically I probably said in that video that the first piece of music that I ever learned was. Hopefully hopefully the YouTube doesn't realize that was a song by Kiss. So you don't get your monetizing away. But that was a little bit loud by Kiss. The first song that I ever learned by ear as a very way before I really started playing the guitar. But it was one string. I call this kind of like the caveman way of playing. It's so simple. And what's great about one string playing is you see and hear the interval so clearly. Like C major scale is right there. You have full steps, half step, full, half step. Yeah. And you can if you build a triad chord, it's a 1, 3, 5, and 8, the octave. And if you want a 7 chord, 1, 3, 5, and 7, that would be the major 7 chord. It's everything is kind of the interval jumps are very clearly the way the guitar is tuned. It kind of makes things complex to understand many times for us guitar players, but when you're playing on one string, it's very easy to hear how the pitches change and how far you travel here. And what I really like about guitar playing is to challenge myself with sometimes very stupid or kind of silly ways of kind of challenging myself. I like play like one string, one finger kind of thing. And as you might have noticed, there's a lot of sliding when you play on one string, and that's one of the things that many guitar players might be afraid of, landing on wrong notes when they slide. Yeah. When you do, and even there, I made me kind of slightly unsure note, but it's once you start doing this horizontal thing, you become more confident because you will practice that sliding thing a lot, and that's very useful. I will show that later on. But then this one string playing also technique wise, if you can play that Yngwie fast picking. It's very relaxed because you just need to pick things on one string. It has, and when you play on one string, you want, there's these huge jumps. So what you want to start doing is you start finding ways to kind of make it easier. So you start bending strings, so you don't need to do that jump. You don't have to do this so much now. Yeah.
So that starts taking on. That actually starts taking on the quality of like slide guitar when you start doing that, and that's something I've noticed in my own playing when I do try and climb the fretboard on the one string, that I start playing lines that sound like a slide. It actually sounds like, man, we have this Australian artist over here, which you probably haven't heard of in Finland, John Farnham. He was huge in the 80s, 90s.
Yeah,
you know John Farnham. So his guitar player, Brett Garsed. Don't know if you know of Brett. Brett is very much like, the Alan Holdsworth, even Tom Quayle's style of playing. Too many notes. Put a slide on his finger so he can't play those notes. And oh my God, he becomes the most melodic guitar player ever. So when it comes to Brett Garsed, I was actually just watching some videos on YouTube of him from '86 when I started playing guitar, and seeing John Farnham on TV and Brett Garsed taking these solos. I watch those every now and then. But the ones that he plays, which are mostly on the one string, using his slide, man, he just becomes so melodic. And they're the memorable solos by him, is when you give him that limitation of, okay, let's see you shred with this thing on your finger. Okay, well, let's play some nice melodies. But
that's exactly why this one string thing, it can be really healthy for if you're like position playing, whatever, you're playing all these shreddy fast licks. For me, this is kind of also the way to focus more on vocal like melodies kind of things. So if I'm playing whatever fast stuff, then it kind of I'm still kind of actually keeping kind of fast, but it kind of helps me to put on a different hat or mode where I kind of intentionally try to become more like a singer instead of like a fast shredding kind of guy who wants to impress himself and maybe some of the other guys in the audience that are also guitar players. So I think the horizontal playing kind of easily slows you down a little bit, especially when you start doing that. If you never did that, if you start doing that now, it can be really healthy. It's for me the mode when I want to have more musical, more vocal-like qualities in my playing. I start going more this direction instead of this direction.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely. So that makes sense. The kind of slide thing with Brett, it's kind of great limitation that kind of forces you to do something else than you would naturally do.
Sure. So when you're playing, in your playing, do you use a lot of modes and stuff like that, is that something? Are you into modal playing?
Sure, but why should we carry on with the fretboard thing?
Oh, the fretboard. Yes. Sorry, mate. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Keep going.
Before we enter the modes, well, I'll go quickly because this is going to take like many days before this stream ends if I never go focus on this. But the one string playing is the one thing. The second one, the second step from there is to kind of start playing the mini modes, which would be kind of like the two-string version of like having two strings together. So instead of kind of like stay within the range of, like that would be one position. But But in general, you play with 2 strings. You might play just a pentatonic. And just applying the thing that many people maybe we learned this from Paul Gilbert or somewhere else, but using the octaves of guitar. So if you play something, you can play the same thing. So in the end, you're playing sort of your 2-string playing becomes 3 times 2-string playing. You can play anything. The secret to making it kind of easy for your eyes, brains, and playing is to kind of keep the same fingerings always. There, that way you can kind of keep track. At least some part. But it's great for phrasing also. When you start phrasing, like kind of like easily variate the same phrase, repeat it, and kind of easily stay on map. Really handy tool, this kind of octave thing, but it's basically just leaping always. Set up two strings, and it's fairly simple.
Yep.
You can just expand it to all over the place if you want, and that kind of can become way much more and more complex in general. But it's the core of the whole thing is very simple in the end. I like that kind of thing because I kind of felt this is closer to the piano or keyboard player approach, where you have a clear octaves visible there. You can see when the octave always starts. You can play all these arpeggios in many octaves just like that, because you just follow always the same white and black keys. Same thing here, kind of like if you play. It kind of borrows a little bit of that octave idea from the keyboard interface.
Cool. Yeah.
Then the third one is just the position playing, the learning the fingerings. I mainly just worked on my ass off with all the 3-note fingerings. The alternate picking that stuff as a kid, but I think it becomes more and more enjoyable when you combine this kind of. You can play just the one position, just combine it with some of the horizontal playing. And then combine it with that octave thing. And basically, it's just I kind of think most of my playing relies on those 3.
Okay.
Pretty much combining different fingerings, the different positions, using horizontal playing to connect these positions, and using also the octave kind of playing, this 2-note pairing kind of thing to help navigating the thing. So that's my surfing tip, or the way I kind of like to do that. Yeah.
Okay. So that whole octave jump thing, just after checking out Tom Quayle's tuning, it kind of makes sense why he does that. But then I
Yeah,
also
yeah, that,
think it would
yeah,
make other things incredibly hard, like trying to play chords and the like. Uh,
yeah. I wouldn't. I personally, I thought about it. Maybe I once even tried that. It felt so weird. But it's kind of like when you once you go there, you tune the two strings different way. Kind of you're forced to start playing differently than the others are playing,
yeah.
which can be really super great way to kind of find your own sound as well, because easily you start finding different notes. Guitar players are really our playing is so much based on fingerings and how we put our hands here, and what are natural and what kind of fingerings are unnatural. So it's um, when once you, for example, if you have some kind of open tuning and start playing, you might still play those typical fingerings, but you end up hearing very different sound, and that
Oh,
can be
yeah.
very inspiring. For Tom's special tuning, I'm sure he has found a lot of sounds that we might not access so easily. So,
Absolutely.
but
Yeah.
on the other hand, yeah,
It would almost make sense to have a double neck guitar. One tuned standard so you can play all your rhythm, and then when it's time to solo and you want to go crazy and use your three note shapes and not have that shift on the B string, you jump to the other neck that's tuned like that. That'd be cool.
yeah,
That'd be
that
cool.
would be cool, but probably very confusing for my brain.
Yeah, probably. And there's just standard cliches that everyone plays that just wouldn't work in that tuning. Yeah, I get that. For all that, that yeah, it totally does. Um, but there's certain things that people, as a guitar player, they expect to hear you play that you just couldn't play in that weird tuning.
Yeah, yeah, that
Uh,
is true.
yeah. So I started going on about modes, but you hadn't finished on your explanation of the fretboard. I must apologise. Yeah, modes. Is that something that you use a lot of in your playing, compositions, anything like that?
I do, in general, I do enjoy many modes myself. Well, I have my favorites, but I do like the different sounds. I would find it very extremely boring if I would just set to compose all the songs in Aeolian or a certain scale. I think I do like to mix the sounds of different modes. I think I got into modes pretty early on as a teenager. Uh, I don't think I got them all properly in my head already then, but I managed to compose some songs like in some of the modes of the melodic major scale and things very like when I was 17. For some reason, I don't know. I found some of those sounds very interesting, and they kind of once I studied those mode or scale sounds, it kind of made me compose some of the songs.
Okay.
But what really helped me was around the time when Fastfinger came out, 2005. Then I got hooked up with TC Electronic from Denmark, the company, and we decided we would do together a sequel for Mr. Fastfinger, GuitarStrayShow.com, the website. So we did like a game kind of thing where Fastfinger used the G system, the TC Electronics pedalboard effect
Mhm.
controlling thing, multi-effect thing, and I invented the idea of doing like a mode game where there would be a game where there was seven levels in the game, and each level there would be a different mode, and each level would have its own backing track and set of licks that would be set to these modes.
Okay.
And the problem was that I wasn't so greatly a master of all these modes, so I had to start digging up. I have an archive of all the old guitar players and Guitar World magazines, and I found all these like Frank Gambale's mode, like mode articles and things, and started studying, and okay, what kind of chords work there, and I kind of started studying that, and I managed to create this game with these modes. I don't think some of the modes are not so well in the mode as they should be now, but it was pretty okay, and that mode thing kind of led me to a situation where I was asked to travel to Germany to do a little clinic there, and it was this school where they asked me to do these like weekend workshops for them, where I would teach modes for students and some other stuff as well, some techniques, and so I was hired to teach modes. So that kind of eventually also helped me to really get inside the modes, because I was suddenly had to start teaching the modes, and so I had to get my shit together. And especially after years of doing that, I got way much. I got the idea of what each mode is really all about, and what are the notes of each mode, and what are the chords of each mode that really trigger the actual mode sound that separates them from each other. But it's all this was basically in the modes of the major scale. Sure. I'm not really an expert of all the modes of all the whatever. You can find modes. Each scale have its own set of modes.
Yeah. So I'll just the major scale ones myself. Sorry, I'll just stick to the major scale modes myself.
Yeah,
I am aware that there are.
There's enough studying for years, anyways, and for our ears, mostly those are the modes that are sounding the strongest. At least if you have a rock background, if you have a strong weird jazz kind of set of ears, you might enjoy, or if you have some exotic background of non-European or I don't know, a set of ears, you might enjoy certain exotic scales and their modes way much easier than I might. So but it's a personal thing. I don't think everybody needs to learn all the modes of all the scales that there are there. Just find the ones that you find most inspiring, and also the modes that are most needed, so you can cope in different musical situations that you might end up in. So and for me, composing, many times I when I start composing, I never wait for an inspiration. I just kind of start by sitting down, and I might sometimes just decide, okay, I'm going to start in the key of, wait a second, yesterday I composed a song in A, so today I might do something in F sharp. Okay, F sharp, what kind of mode? Yesterday I wrote a song in Dorian. Let's start with something with Mclaughlin. Okay, how about combining that with some other mode in some other key, and kind of see how they combine together, or like work together or something. It's for me, I find it kind of like the mode have their own sounds and feelings. So if I want like a sunny major kind of thing, but with cooler vibe, I go for Mclaughlin. And if I want a little bit less sunny but cool, Dorian is great for that. Or if I want more darker or more deeper sound, Aeolian is better minor than Dorian, because it has that more northern sadness to it, because of the sixth note is different than the sharp sixth on Dorian. It's
so do you approach the modes from a mathematical kind of like, you think, okay, I'm going to play in A, you pick a mode, and that's going to be, it's spelt, with a flat 3, 5, whatever, or, because that completely confused the fuck out of me when I try and think of it that way. Or do you sort of think more, you know what? I want to play in Lydian because you know what that sounds like. You all know it sounds like Steve Vai. So I'm going to play in A Lydian, and I know that really I'm just going to play in. I'm thinking of my really playing in E, aren't I? If I play over an A chord, but with a over an E major scale over an A chord, essentially, that's going to give you your Lydian sound, right? Do you sort of think more that way, or?
What way did you? Can you say that again? What
Okay.
was that?
So if I wanted to play in the key of A, let me grab this guitar over here, which is got an amp built in. Ugh. So if I wanted to do in A, I'm a little bit out of tune here, but I wanted a Lydian sound, I would be playing more in the key of the notes of E major.
Oh,
But so I'm not sure if you can hear that.
yeah.
So that's more how I think of it. Is that what you would do, or are you sort of approaching it more mathematically?
Well, in a certain way, my master scale for everything is the home base. The home of all homes is minor scale. So I never would think if I play, if I would think like if I play in F Lydian, well, then I kind of see that it comes from the scale of the same scale as A minor scale. So I never think of it really like, oh, C major scale fingerings are here. The Aeolian is way much more. The minor scale is way much more
Okay,
my
you
home.
think minor.
Yeah, it definitely. I'm it's the north where I live. It must be that. I don't know why, but it's for me. It's the minor scale is the home base really, and but I try not to really. Well, if I need to play something fast and it can be confusing, it's good to know where that relative minor Aeolian is compared to the mode that I'm currently. If I would, like if you play the, if I now would be in E Phrygian, that it might help the job if you know that it's the same notes as you would find in Aeolian. But I try not to think that like you didn't do that, but it's the risk if you start thinking, okay, I can just play the notes from a Aeolian or minor scale, because there's a huge risk that you start sounding like just play a Aeolian over E Phrygian, because you would need to reconsider the meaning of each note changes completely once you're there in E.
That is actually how I would attack it. So that's why
Sorry?
that is how I would actually approach it. If someone said,
Yeah.
let's do an E Phrygian, I would simply play. So I'm playing pretty much in the key of A minor, but over an E minor chord is how I would do
Yeah.
it. And that sort of loses the mathematics for me. But maybe I should learn otherwise.
It's kind of like challenging, because on the other hand, once you know the fingerings, it kind of helps to know the fingerings are same as the relative scale or mode like Aeolian here. But if your ear starts to kind of if you forget to use your ear and really kind of treat the notes like their meaning has really changed, if you forget that the ear part of the playing, it starts to sound like you play Aeolian over that whatever E Phrygian or whatever. It kind of it's there's a risk with that kind of thing for sure. So I don't know. Yeah.
I was going to say, Mika, do you do much teaching? If somebody wants to get lessons from you, do you do scope lessons for people? Can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, I do that, and I've been doing that for quite a few years now. I usually don't have too many students at the same time, but and I teach like 2 days a week on Tuesdays and Wednesdays that I try to mainly keep my students to kind of keep some room for doing creative stuff. Yeah. I really love sharing the things that I know and hopefully help out the students to kind of get over some of the problems or help out them to kind of realize some of the help them advance in their musicality and playing for sure. And there are some students that have actually are more like creativity students where they want to compose or create their own music, where I'm more, it's more like a mentoring kind of thing, which is super cool. Sometimes I have my daughter's drum kit, and one times we had a session about creating the backing track and drums particular, and I just explained how to kind of think about how to build the drum beats and things in general. And at some point, I just turned the camera the other way and went to the drum kit and explained it with my daughter's drums that are here. Actually, they're just disassembled, so I can't do it for you right now. But that was kind of funny. But yeah, it's showing some kind of techniques also to create your own music. That's super cool at times as well. Not just techniques or many students have been asking about the whole modes thing, and I kind of have my own idea of the way I kind of see them. I kind of think try to see the modes kind of like related to the whole chords and everything, and kind of try to dim out the difference of chords, arpeggios, modes, and everything. It kind of like, I think they're all just the same thing, just like different perspective.
Yeah, sure.
Everything is so related to each and everything. So some things just took myself years to realize, oh, this is why this is here, and blah blah blah, and trying to hopefully not mess their minds, but rather kind of help them to see how things connect and kind of make the process hopefully slightly less painful or slow as it was for myself.
Yeah.
Less banging your head to the wall.
There is just in the chat room there, William S. May is saying, your new album is amazing, Mika. Cheers. So you're getting some great feedback there, man.
Yeah, cool to hear. I'm very glad to hear about that. I think the feedback that I've gotten has been really, really good. I think it's very different from the previous Mr. Fastfinger albums. There was one guy who was more a critic, or he said he enjoyed the album, but he was kind of missing the Asian kind of vibe that the other albums have more of. This one has this has more the cinematic synth kind of 80s kind of vibe that this album has, and the previous albums have synth and stuff and everything, but it has quite a lot of that Asian vibe that is not there with this album. But my explanation is that you have to try different things, and you have to evolve. And if you just repeat things, exactly the same thing every year, every time, and you just kill your creativity and all the spirit. You you have to do things the way it feels natural and inspiring to yourself. And I think the way you grow as a person over the years, it should be reflected on the music you create, definitely.
So you were talking earlier about just composition for films and stuff like that. Do you always compose on guitar, or do you reach for keyboards and other instruments? You mentioned before about playing a bit of drums. When you're composing for picture, what's your go-to?
Well, even if I'm composing for Mr. Fastfinger music or any music, I rarely start with a guitar. I like to keep the guitar as kind of like the last element. So
Okay.
I tend to compose with. I'm really bad at keyboard, so
Same.
that's a great instrument for me to compose on. And even especially, I love recent years. I've used my iPad for a lot of composition work, and
Oh,
many
really?
times I've been kind of like a mobile composer. I've written many of the songs from this album and previous albums. A lot of the best songs are written maybe on airplane or backseat of a car or from some gig trip or wherever I've been with just iPad and headset or my headphones. I love just bashing out notes there and just using my ears and doing sounds and things. And later I might come up with a lot of melodic ideas like that or some like arpeggios and things. And later on I might come up with new guitar parts. Or sometimes I come up with I want to do the keyboard stuff or the programmed stuff with a guitar, and I get into trouble because I need to figure out techniques. How do I play that part on the guitar? On new album, there's one song that it's the same song that we recorded the guitars on tape, a four-tracker, Ocean of Neon, where there's an arpeggio that goes like. It sounded so. When I composed it on the iPad, the app, I just made it there and programmed and played randomly notes, and that this sounds good. There's one note there. I fixed that and blah blah blah. The song was ready. Now I want to have real drums, real bass, and the guitar. And there's this tapping thing. Wait a second, you can't play this with tapping. You don't. We would need to have like this finger also here or something. So I had to figure out, write notes down, and figure out how the hell I'm going to play it with the guitar. And it wasn't easy, but this was one of the parts. Let's have a little bit of ambient reverb. Other cool thing was there was like hybrid picking thing. There was this kind of like a flute kind of sounding, like this electronic sound that I was able to actually mimic with my freak out pedal. So there's this so I was able to duplicate it and replace the original synth that had that sound with the real guitar, and it was really closely similar to the actual sound on the synth.
Yeah.
Thanks to that special pedal on my board, and that's not a paid advertisement. I just love that. I just bought that pedal for myself because I felt that it's something that kind of helps me to express certain things that I couldn't do with the guitar before that pedal. I love that.
This is the freak out, yeah?
Yeah, the freak out, yeah. And so
I think I need one of those. I think you've just sold it to me. I haven't heard one before, and I think you've sold it to me during this talk. So, yes, they should be paying you. Yeah, I hope you have your affiliates links. Do you have your affiliate links set up? Do you know about those?
No, I don't. No, I haven't been. I haven't never done anything like that. But anyways, there is a demo. It's not a demo, but it's a video on my channel where I just had gotten this pedal, and it was really the first thing. I tested it out at the music store for a moment before I bought it. When I got here, I hooked it on, add some delay reverb like this here, and then I just started exploring it. And I've shot it on video and recorded it, and it's very special sounding piece, kind of like it's almost like composition happening, this improvised thing, and then there's some like weird things happening when I step on like silly settings on the pedal, but it still sounds kind of cool. And it's one of my favorite pedals on my favorite videos on my channel, because it's super spontaneous, and it's kind of it's the type of pedal demos that I want to do more in the future. It's like exploring and digging, kind of like the question, was it Gabor or somebody who asked, is it the pedal that inspires me to playing, or to just add it afterwards? This was kind of the thing where the pedal actually really inspires me to find some new sounds,
Cool.
new kind of things. Yeah.
Well, I actually thought you had a Sustainiac in your guitar before we went live and you started playing with it. I said, oh, you got a Sustainer? Because I used to have one of those, and it was such a big part of my sound for the longest time. Problem is, the guitar was a 1989 or 1990 Hamer USA. It's just sitting just back there. And it was the old style one, and it went through 2 9-volt batteries. If I used it for about an hour, gone, dead. And I actually ended up pulling it out of my guitar because my guitar was just sounded so good, but as soon as the batteries went, it was fucked. The whole thing would die. I still have the hole in my guitar, and I plan on getting the new Sustainer put in there, because they've refined it a lot and uses a fraction of the battery now. But yeah, have you ever played around with Sustainers?
Actually, I don't think I never even tried it. I was dreaming of having one years ago, but I never got myself one.
Okay. I used to have one. Let me just flick this so that we can see my camera. I put a new battery in the camera, by the way, mate. You were totally making me look like an amateur with your camera when I went to my my webcam. So I put it in there. But yeah, there is still, you're seeing me up there, so I'm not sure if you can see it.
Yeah, I see.
But there's that big ass hole. There used to be a Sustainiac in there. And I've still got where the switches were and everything over here. And I really want to put it back in here because this is a great sounding guitar. This is just my best sounding guitar. For distorted sounds, just the low end. And it's got a Floyd Rose. And everyone says, oh, you know, you lose something with a Floyd Rose. No, this thing is just kick-ass. And I've had this since 1991.
Nice. Very nice.
Used to be black. It ain't going anywhere. This is my baby.
Well, obviously, yeah, you don't want to keep that forever with you. Yeah. The freak one thing I have to tell you, it doesn't give you the infinite sustain. It kind of actually, it can be kind of nasty to you. It's kind of like Miku. It can be unpredictable at times. What it does is, if you have some signal like, now it actually, well, I have a lot of reverb delay, but it cuts you off sometimes very nasty. That's a long note. Well, this is not a good demo of the nasty cut. Actually, I've never had such a long note with this. but like that. So it's not like Sustainer where you can really trust it doing that thing for you. Yeah. But it's great for doing that like a. Uh, it's okay
So,
for that, but yeah.
something that I almost said when you first played it to me was that it reminded me of the old Boss Super Distortion feedbacker pedal, and Poo Ninja has said exactly that in the comments there. Um,
Oh,
do you know? Do you know
yeah.
this mystical Poo Ninja?
Super distortion feedbacker. No,
Yeah. Did you ever play one of those
I,
pedals?
I don't think so. I
They
think
were back in the
I
80s.
remember there was some feedbacker, but
Super feedbacker and distortion, they were called.
mhm.
Yeah,
have
super feedbacker and
have to
distortion.
Google that. I think super distortion.
But it did a similar thing, where you can be turned right down and you'd kick this thing in and make your guitar feedback. I don't know how they did it. Just throw 1 million gain at your amp.
I remember seeing this. I never ever tried it. It was interesting, but this is from like have to be like late 80s or early 90s or what
I
is
remember
where
them in
is
the 80s. I remember them in the late 80s. Yep. Super
yeah, I
feedbacker
think
and distortion.
yellow, kind of like orange
I was
yellow
going to
kind
say
of.
yellow or orange. I remember an orange pedal. Maybe
Yeah, yeah.
with concentric knobs. Even I'm remembering that it had the knob within a knob.
No, this
No.
one doesn't seem to have. I don't know.
No.
Maybe
Yep.
there's a version. I
Okay.
don't.
No.
Or
I'm thinking of my old
maybe
Boss heavy metal pedal.
yeah. But
That was my
it's
first pedal. What was your first pedal? Mine was the Boss HM2 heavy metal pedal.
yeah. It was this metal charger.
The metal charger. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Cool.
the reason why this is the first one is well, we bought this as a Christmas present for my older brother who had the guitar in the house. I had the silly shitty synthesizer only those days. But me and my mother went to the local music shop to buy basically wanted overdrive pedal, but in Finland we call them säröpedaali, särö, and charger kind of sounded like Sarah, so we thought this must be it. So we bought this.
Okay.
So we didn't. We could have bought like maybe a Boss pedal or some like distortion named pedal if we would have known that that's the right word for Sarah. But this sounded like metal charger. This must be the kind of thing that he's after. So we bought this.
Yeah.
This is special. I think this is a very special. It has its unique sound. And I actually did once very simple mod to this, and it kind of made it sound even somehow better.
Yeah.
Or but
you
it
do?
still it didn't lose the character of this pedal that it has. I've had this many times in my pedal board in probably last time like 4 or 5 years ago, but now it's just like on part-time retirement or something, but it's available there when the time calls for it again.
Yeah. 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 You got to keep those pedals around, huh?
Yeah, that's something. I sometimes I just love things. This is one I just bought myself. I
Oh
haven't even
wow.
tried it out, but it looks so cool. It's like a arcade kind of arcade game kind of look, but it's just a graphic EQ like the
Yeah.
Ibanez and Boss ones.
Yeah.
This just looks so cool that I had to buy one, and it's the clone of all the Boss and Ibanez
Okay.
pedals, so the
Yeah.
same frequencies as everything. So I haven't hooked it on yet, but I'm guessing it'll do the exact same thing as all the other.
There's just something about old analog pedals that just sounds better. Have you done many comparisons between like digital multi effects and standalone pedals? Because I have one pedal back there, and I pulled this out a couple of times. That every time I get a Helix and Axe Effects, any of those things, I compare it to this analog chorus pedal I've got back there, and it just no comparison. This thing just makes the others sound silly, and it's one of the. It's a plastic Arion pedal. I'll hold it up there so you can see it. Firstly, you're familiar with those?
Yeah, I
Hold it to
remember
there,
those. Yeah.
for everyone else to see. But man, that just kills any other chorus out there. Just in thickness, and especially anything digital that I've tried to compare it to, there is just no comparison. This thing just, and I've had friends who don't play guitar that have been at my place that have heard it and just gone, wow, that thing sounds amazing. So it's not just a guitar player's ear that's saying, oh yeah, this thing.
To me, it's I haven't honestly. The thing that I've done is had like a plugins and stuff, things, and tried amp modelers on as a plugins on Cubase and things. But the first thing that kills me is the latency thing that easily comes across. I can't stand the latency when it goes beyond much over like 2 milliseconds or something.
Really?
You start feeling it so easily, and it kind of kills me, kills the whole feeling and the connection. But when I started building this pedal board, one of the things that I kind of, just the fear of having latency built up, this one I built so I have a selection of pedals that are all have analog dry single flow, so everything stays analog until the cab simulation, which adds now 2 milliseconds. So that's the only latency that my single, as far as I understand anything about these, but that's what I've read, and I've been told that all these the only risk pedal is kind of like the digital delay, but it is supposed to have the analog dry signal as well. But that's the only thing that I'm not 100% sure about. But anyways, I'm very happy about this single, and I don't feel any uncomfortable latency.
Cool.
So I've been working with this very happily. But I love having the stomp box here because of the interface. Like I have the dual chorus here. I don't use chorus that much, but sometimes it's really cool, and mainly I use the flanger. So having it there, and it's very easy to kind of easy to set up. And what I've done is in all of my pedals, like I don't know if you can see here, but I have these little pink triangles here that makes you think of Miami Vice. I have a flamingo here as well.
Okay.
Well, you can see it, but anyway, I have like little marks here where that's my preset. In analog gear, you don't have presets for coming back to settings.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
well, you have that in Black Spirit, but that has like a digital controlling, although the single analog. But all my pedals have these little triangles to show me the basic default setting. So when I go to band rehearsals or gigs, I should at least remember to check everything. Everything is set, and I'm back. And whenever I feel like going crazy with the flanger setting, I can do that, and then I know, okay, next morning if I have to set things back to normal, I can always find it very quickly.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
See if things is set like it's supposed to be, or if Miku is doing like the wrong sound, like where is Miku? I don't hear anything anymore. I did something wrong. Now it's doing just ba pa pa pa. Or is it doing like a yum yum yum?
That pedal just cracks me up, man. That is the funniest pedal.
What's cool about this Miku, by the way, is you can program phrases there. So I should have
really?
a phrase here that says like "Konnichiwa, Mika, konnichiwa."
What?
I should. I don't know. No, it's not happening. Wait a second. I don't know what. Actually, I might have done that, but I probably changed it to something that the problem with Miku doing random like syllabites and sounds is
Yep.
some of them get really lost in the mix. Sometimes you do a note that should be like really loud, and it's like,
Yeah.
and it doesn't get heard. So
Yeah.
I just programmed there like sounds that you can actually hear, while making it sound like she's still singing some words, random
Yep.
words. Every time you never know what she's going to sing.
Yeah. Very unpredictable. Hey, Mika, would you believe we've been talking for 3 hours now?
Yeah, I think that's plenty.
I think so, man. And one thing I'm finding doing these is that we could just keep talking and talking. So, do you want to come back on in sooner than later? In the next couple of months,
Yeah.
and have a chat again because, this is the easiest thing in the world for me, man. Just to talk to guitar friends from around the world and let people in on our conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anything you want to touch on before we go, mate?
Sorry. Please do check out the new album if you haven't done so yet. It's
Where can people get it? Where is it available?
Well, you can check it out on Spotify, on Apple Music, iTunes, anywhere you can imagine where they have music sold or streamed digitally, and also have physical CDs available straight from my shop. If you get excited and want to support and like physical things, there are still old farts like you and me that really appreciate some physical things. I'm not sure about you, but it's available there if you want a hard copy, as they say. This one is actually available as a CD. My solo album was only a 15 copies of C cassette. That was the only physical.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, that was that was the cassette album that I did last year, the Night Overdrive. That I did under my own name. That I'd recorded like on 4-track and 8-track cassette tape recorder, like as a solo fun project. But that was another thing. But this Fastfinger thing, every album has been released as a CD, and yeah, it's a higher level production. but do check that album because it might be something that brings good vibes and positive energy to your life. Who knows?
So, is there anybody in the chat room there have any questions for Mika before we round things up? Edwin Crane has just said that he's learnt a lot. Thanks, Mika. You rock. You rock, man.
Thanks, Edwin. Thanks.
Anything else that got past us? Man, I still crack up every time I see the name Poo Ninja. It's a classic. Do you know Poo Ninja?
Yeah, I've seen him.
Apparently,
I've seen him around.
Yeah. He frequents all the YouTubers' live streams and stuff. I haven't heard anything bad about him. I think he's friends with a few of our friends. But
I had what was it? Yeah, I had a guy commenting in my stream that was also commenting some other videos of mine. His name is Anal Sneeze. It was so funny.
Classic.
We were doing a stream with Juha Ruokangas, the guitar maker, the maker of my guitars, and I had to take. He had some kind of question or comment. I had to say it aloud because of his incredible cool name.
Yeah. So I have a question just about your guitar. Is that available as a signature model? If folks really like your guitar, can they order that?
Yeah, it's a model called Aeon from Ruokangas Guitars, and the other green guitar, the movie guitar was kind of like the prototype for that guitar. At the time, he didn't have a guitar that would be kind of like a super strat kind of thing. He had like a metal guitar version without the pickguard, which is one of the most important factors of guitar. Having a black pickguard, that's very important for me. but he had more like an edgy kind of metal kind of
Why
guitar.
is that? I'm just going to stop you there. Why the black pickguard? Why is that important to you? Is this a tone thing?
I don't know, it gives the guitar more coolness. Like if you take any like stock Strat with a white or kind of white pickguard or white-ish, maybe green tinted pickguard, and replace it with black, the guitar turns way much cooler afterwards.
Okay,
right?
okay.
Right.
So it's a cool factor. It's a cool thing. Okay.
Yeah, it's a coolness factor for sure. And I think a guitar without a big pickguard, it just looks wrong. The Strat shape was designed to have a big pickguard there, right? So I think it's there's no real reason for it, but it's just, I think it has to be there. But this was kind of like a prototype for the Aeon model that Juha later on released officially. So this is actually officially a VSOP, which is his Strat model, but there were a lot of changes, like because of the 24 frets and Strat, where the body shape had to be turned quite different, and also
I can see it's a shorter body, isn't it?
It's shorter because you want to have a little bit of access here. So the lower horn was the position of this had to be changed. And also I designed this pickguard myself. I drew it on the Adobe Flash and over a photo of a body, and sent that to Juha, and they drew the final version of that. But I actually got to design this shape, and I think I'm really proud of that, because it's really maybe in this guitar it's more clear to see in this light, but it really works well with the body shape. And I think the guitar Strat body is kind of interesting, or guitar body shapes in general. I think their little differences make huge differences. It's like if you ever try to draw a guitar body like a Strat guitar, if it's slightly wrong, it looks like bad immediately.
Totally.
It's really all the everything has to be just right, then it looks right.
That's a hard shape to draw, a Strat.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Just thinking back in high school when I used to draw guitars and stuff, and Strat's hard to draw. But I think Leo got it right. You got it right. I just look at I got some guitars beside me. I don't know if this is a guitar that I really like, and this is something I put together out of Warmouth parts.
Nice.
Yeah. Let me just switch this to me. So that is a Strat body, but rear routed. Roasted maple neck, a big 59, 1959 Les Paul style neck on that. I got the Super V trem system on that. I don't know if you're aware of those. They're really cool. And I really like it. I think it's just the pickups and electronics that I need to play around a bit with. But I put that together just out of parts that I bought myself, and I'm really happy with that.
That looks really, really cool, at least.
Yeah, too many guitars, man. Yeah. How many guitars do you own?
Just add the pickguard.
You know what? When we were chatting, I was chatting to Dave Friedman about it at 42 Gear Street, because I really like one of his guitars. Both at NAMM and there. I'm, as we said, I'm a Strat guy, and I really like the Strat style guitars. But I was saying to him, I'd really like a bit of this model, a bit of that model thrown together. And he actually was the one that brought it up. He said that the Strat sounds that I was after, he said to get one that the Vintage Vintage Classic S, I forget the name, bloody hell, not S Classic, Vintage S, but with a pickguard, because he reckons that that's a big part of the tone of getting that Stratty kind of tone, was to have single coils on a pickguard. So I actually put that together thinking it'll be more convenient to try and get to the electronics if I need to play with it, but I'm thinking that he might be right, and that it needs that to get that tone. And
who knows?
Yep. Mika has said I need one with a pick guard, so that's all I need to hear, man. That's all I need to hear.
That was
Mika,
a,
thank you so much,
was a
man, for tuning in. It's a
thank you,
bit of
Rick.
a time
Yeah.
difference. My apologies
Yeah.
to my friends in the US. I
What's
usually
the
try and,
time there? It's 10 o'clock there or something.
yeah, 10:15. Yeah,
Yeah.
early for a muso. But yeah, our United States friends got the raw deal on this one, but that was just the time differences between you and I. Mate, thank you so much. Will you
Humble,
come back
thank you.
on? Will you come back on? And I'm talking, in a month or two, chat with me again because, um,
Yeah.
yeah, all my friends that I've lined up to do this, man, we could just talk about guitars and stuff all day, and I think
Yeah.
people don't mind listening into us talking about guitars all day.
Yeah. Or I'm not sure if technically if it's possible to have like two guests on Skype. I'm not sure how technically that would work. If it becomes difficult, that could be one thing also.
That's easy to do with the streaming software I use.
Oh
Actually, my
yeah.
first live stream interview was with two.
Oh cool.
I think I can have up to 5 guests using this software.
Well, that might be. Yeah. That might be a plenty. But
Well, I'll
anyways,
tell you what, maybe
that could be.
maybe we
Yeah.
should line up something where we get a few guys that were from 42 Gear Street all come in,
Yeah.
and we'll have a bit of a chat live together. That'd be kind of cool because we
Absolutely.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mika, thank you so much, my friend, and
Thank you. It
I
was a
will
pleasure. Yeah.
bid farewell to our guests. So thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you guys next time. I'll roll my little outro. Hopefully, hit the right button.